If athleisure was a radio show, this would be that radio show. Bo Bishop, a man of fine taste and Montana class.
My wife will try and drag me to like an Easter brunch buffet, and I don't even like that because I don't like everybody standing over food I'm going to eat.
Friends with the highest intellectuals.
We found out the hard way. We have white furniture. That's all I'll say.
What a mess.
Oh, God. Holy
Literally.
An athlete, coach, husband, and father.
That drives me nuts. My kids are, I'm him. Shut up. Kidding me? You're 9. You're not him. I don't even know what the hell that means.
And two guys who were considerable downgrades from a former football player.
You were saying the Olympics wasn't interesting you yesterday. Well, can I offer you 50 seconds of interest?
50 seconds of interest is a similar pitch I make to my girlfriend on a nightly basis.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of the program. Bo the boys with you for the next 3. Ari Wasserman going to drop by at 11:33. Nate Davis, USA Today on the NFL, stopping by at 10:33. We will blitz the NFL at 11 o'clock. The Real Truth hits you at 10. Ryan Day coming up at 9:33 from Roundtable last night. Buckeyes back at it. We have a start time and a broadcast network for the Big Ten opener as well. Simply put, loaded up.
See you, Peacock.
Oh, baby. Loaded up on a Tuesday edition of the program. You guys are familiar with the 90s comedy. There's a comedy on NBC about a stand-up comedian and his friends called Seinfeld. You're familiar with this show at all?
What's the name of the comedian who fronts that show? Jerry something.
Jerry. Yeah. It was Jerry. Jerry fronted that. A guy named Larry David was a part of it. There was an episode they did where there was a guy named Uncle Leo, who was Jerry's uncle, who really thought that his son Jeffrey was the most interesting person in the world. No matter what Jerry did, it was nothing compared to whatever Jeffrey was doing at the park department or whatever it was. And there was an episode where Leo had some issues, some health issues. And one of the things that happened was, I don't remember the exact details of it. Mike would know it. AR would know it for sure. At one point, he draws a Sharpie on his eyebrows. Oh, Elaine did it. That's right. Elaine did it because she was a bad patient at the doctor's office. And then so she drew eyebrows on Leo to distract from her to make them think that he was a bad patient. And so he had these eyebrows that made it look like everything he was saying was aggressive and angry and mad. I tell that story because I have this now happening in the household where NBC comes home about every 3 to 4 days with a new phrase that he wants to employ. So he's done Sigma Rizzi and Omega and Alpha and all this nonsense, one thing after another. And so his queso is like a loser is queso, which I think is crazy because queso's amazing. But they'll drop queso on losers. So like if you blow something, be like, oh dude, you're so queso. Like that's the line. So
and is it actually like Mexican queso?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The letter K and so.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it comes from. I'm a man. I'm 40,
and he might not even know because he might only hear it.
Knows. Yeah. So there's another one of those that I can't share on air that he's been saying, and I'm like, I don't think that means what you think it means. Just so you're aware. So I wouldn't say that one around adults or kids who might tattle on you, i.e. your little brothers. That one I'd keep to yourself. So anyway, he's been hitting me with crash out. Like that's his new thing is crash out. So he'll go, this is how it'll go. In fact, this happened yesterday. Hey, Pates, do me a favor, take your dishes over to the sink. Dad, there's no reason to crash out. So I'm not crashing out. I'm just saying I'm just asking you to do that. And he's like, yeah, Dad, I get it. Don't crash out. I'm not crashing out. I just am asking you to do it. I know, Dad, but you're crashing out. So then you end up actually probably doing what they think the definition of crash out is. I end up crashing out. And I feel like Uncle Leo. Like now I'm mad. I don't have any reason to be mad. I'm simply asking you to do something. I'm not crashing out in any way. I'm not that mad about any of it. But by you saying crashing out, you're making me crash out, man. And I think it's got to be a Super Mario.
Is that where it comes? Or does
that crash out?
Is it just like, does it just come from freak out, flip out, crash out? Is it just another word for just kind of like
going over the top? It's got to be something with a video game.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be a video game. I wonder if it's like Fortnite or something. I wonder if they crash out.
Maybe, yeah. Like does it come from something and then it was just applied to real world situations? That's probably right. But I think, you just got to go with that. You just need to keep employing them at him. So next time he's upset, say like, hey, there's no reason to crash out, bud.
I did.
Yeah? Did it work?
Yeah. No, he hates it. Well, it did work. So, yes, I win. I found that if all I have to do is the same thing that my dad would have done to me, which, my mother would have done it to me, would be to just reapply the phrase out loud to him, and then it's not cool anymore.
Especially if you use it
Once I start
just
saying
wrong enough. Like it's close, but you're just wrong, and they're like, oh, you don't get it. And it's like, no, I think I do.
Some of their stuff I like. They are dropped. I've been using mid a lot. Like, how's that? Was that a good meal? Mid. It was mid. I do like mid. That's not bad.
Some get through.
Things I can steal.
Slang constantly like gets in. So like, I wonder if mid will be. I mean, obviously it already exists, but I wonder if like the definition will be added to like the Webster's dictionary. Like, which one of these will actually get that real status? Because eventually a lot of them do.
I think of all the stupid crap they say right now, I think mid has the best chance.
I think so too. I think you're right. Because it also makes sense. It's quick to go, okay, middling, not very good, average. That makes sense.
It actually makes more sense than fine. Like if someone says to you, how was your meal? You would say, and if it was medium, you'd say, it's fine. It was fine. Right? And that's viewed as a negative. Fine is not negative, though. If you think about fine dining, that was elite at one point. Fine should mean that it was good. It was good. It wasn't extraordinary, but it was good. That's
meets
what fine
expectations is what fine is. Yeah.
But if you say fine, right, it's meet expectation, but it's probably more than that. Is by the true definition of it is that it is quite nice. Is kind of the idea. So some of these things slip through. I like mid a lot on that one. We'll see if Crash Out picks up as well. But it is aggravating as hell when he keeps saying it.
Do you have to kill it? Because you just throw it at him. Wake up in the morning if he's a little slow to get the screen. You crashing out, bro?
Now, do you think he's actually getting to the point where he is naturally saying these, or do you think he learns them and just wants to say them, so he brings them home every few days, like you said?
I just think it's part of the way they talk.
Yeah, and it just moves so fast because the internet moves so fast.
It all moves so quickly that it permeates everywhere, and so I think it's just how they talk. Like if you listen to them, and or if you go to like on their text thing, like it's constant. All of this type of stuff, like bet, like that type of stuff. Oh, bet, like that. Do you want to go to the football game tonight? Bet. Okay. All right.
I imagine you need like a service like Babbel to understand and to actually read his text chain.
Oh,
what is this new language?
Yeah. We have a rule when he got the phone. I'm like, I can look at your phone whenever I want, but obviously I'm not doing it now because it's like he's 12, like he's awarded some privileges, so I don't get on it anymore. I trust that I've raised him right and he'd do the best he can, but I would be terrified, I think, to go down some of those roads and know what these idiots are texting about.
Or not know what they're like. The worst would be actually seeing it and not knowing what's going on.
So. I don't know if this was like this when you guys were kid. Probably not you, Reese. Probably not you either, Chops. No, for sure not. When you were little, what they're doing to avoid the text threads that parents can read is they then message in Snapchat. So they go into Snapchat and then they snap people and then message in that. And that way, and those are gone. So you can't go check on those.
Yeah, instant messenger used to work like that, but you'd have to sit at your desktop computer in your remember computer rooms? Like, does anybody actually dedicate an entire room to their house to a computer anymore? I don't think so, unless they're like a huge gamer or something. But yeah, you'd have to be sitting there and you'd talk to people and it would go away, but it wasn't something in your pocket the entire time.
No. So that's how they hide it, is they'd use the Snapchat and then it disappears, and that's how their dialogue, their whole communication is there. That's their entire communication.
That's what I've heard from younger people is they don't trade phone numbers, they trade Snapchats.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
And so that's exactly what they do. So they follow people, then they have snap streaks where how many times can you snap? So a lot of time, like I'll be like, what are you doing? And we'll take a picture of our ceiling, and then that's a snap.
Got to keep the streak going.
So then he'll send it to people. And I don't understand it. And so the big thing they're trying to do now is date girls from other towns, right? I use date very loosely.
She goes to a different school.
Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm dating this girl from fill in the blank, no names please town, and I'm like, oh, you're dating her, dude. Have you talked to her? No, we snapped though. Are you ever gonna see her? I don't know, maybe, never. You're never gonna see her. If you think I'm driving your ass to the movie theater so you can sit next to a girl you don't know other than via screen, you're out of your mind. Like, that's not happened. I'm like, there's plenty good-looking girls in your grade in our town. Just date one of them.
They
then
also
you can
have
actually
Snapchat, yeah.
They have Snapchat. You can see them. You're of the age where you should be able to see a little bit and have a little contact. I would say at 12, right? It seems appropriate.
But it is a perfect setup for a 12-year-old because he can still do all the stuff he wants to as a kid, say he has a girlfriend, and then they never have to do anything. There's no effort to it. You just send a few Snapchats
Didn't you want to as a 12-year-old boy? Didn't you want to do those things? Let's have a little bit of in-person contact, fellas.
Guess what we wanted to do would now be considered mid.
Might be mid. Might be very mid. I don't know. I told him, I said, well, why are you stopping at dating a girl from another town? Just say you're dating Sydney Sweeney. What's the difference? Just follow her on Snapchat and just say, this is my girlfriend. She lives in Southern California. And just use that. Just say, say you're dating Livy Dunn. You stole her from Paul Skeens. And you're dating Livy Dunn. Why stop at dating a girl from another town?
Because if somebody says, well, I don't believe you, it's like, well, what's the evidence? Because it's the same amount of evidence.
It's the same evidence.
Your girlfriend.
It doesn't make any difference. You're just getting a snap from her. Dad, why are you crashing out about Snapchat? There you go. There's a day in the life of raising a 12-year-old, kids. Speaking of mid, the NFL has been absurdly mid through the first 2 weeks. Last night's game was thrilling, but a lot of bad ball in it as well. I think there are 3 reasons why this is happening. We will get into that, and also just how fickle it is to bet on sports, as was proven last night, Reese, unfortunately for you and I. We will get to all of that coming up next. We're off and running on a Tuesday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're the girthiest radio station in the history of radio. Uncomfortably girthy. This promo is uncomfortable. The Fan, Ohio's girth destination.
Marty Brenneman here for Tri-State Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health for treating erectile dysfunction and low testosterone issues. And they're the leader for a reason, because I can tell you from my own experience of being treated there, Tri-State Men's Health is top shelf. Far too many men wait to get their ED treated, but I want to tell you today that you shouldn't wait any longer. If you're suffering with ED and are like most guys, a medical team at Tri-State Men's Health will get you back on track fast. They have the experience, they have the treatment protocols, and they know what they're doing. At Tri-State Men's Health, they have ED treatments that are effective in well over 90% of men. They can even combine treatments for better results. You might even find yourself performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment today. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. They have 6 offices in the tri-state area to serve you.
Bob Yoakum, president of Rockford Homes, talks about what makes First Bank of Central Ohio different.
I would say it starts by caring. It starts by doing what you say you're going to do and following through on it. When you're talking about local, you're talking about relationships and people that matter to you. I don't care if that's personally or professionally.
Experience what it's like to be first at First Bank of Central Ohio. Visit fbcentralohio.com for more details. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Direct Auto Insurance is for uncompromisers. The people who refuse to make trade-offs in life. Like Kelly, when her old car insurance got so expensive that she couldn't afford to drive anymore, do you think she started carrying her groceries for miles? No. But she did find Direct Auto's savings that allowed her to drive instead of compromise. With savings of up to 25%, you too can stop compromising and keep driving. Get a quote today at directauto.com. Savings based on applied discounts and will vary. Terms apply. How you buy can affect price. National General Group, Winston-Salem.
Here at The Fan, we give you 14 hours of live and local programming every day. We care about you. We live and work in your community. Except Bo Bishop. He won't tell us where the hell he is. Your live and local station. Except Bo. The Fan.
My name is Marsha Blanks, and I live here in Cleveland, Ohio. Like a lot of African Americans, diabetes runs in our family. I have diabetes, and my husband has diabetes. His was worse than mine, and we made the decision that he would go on the insulin and I would not. It was too expensive. The drug companies are making a fortune. Nothing changed with the formulas, so why was it becoming so expensive? When I heard that Sherrod Brown had capped insulin at $35, it meant that I could now take insulin and control my diabetes even better. It was a godsend. I'm feeling better. I'm losing weight. Sherrod, he stood up to the drug companies, and he actually won. And that showed me that he cared about us. I am 66 years old, and I do not plan on slowing down. And that's thanks to Sherrod, because I got the medicine I needed.
I'm Sherrod Brown, running for Senate. I approve this message.
Paid for by friends of Sherrod Brown.
Did you and your family lose Ohio Medicaid and need health coverage? Check this out. You may be eligible to enroll in a low-cost health plan at healthcare.gov. With the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov offers quality plans that cover doctor visits, prescriptions, emergency care, and more. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Trust. Not everyone deserves it. Not everyone should have it. It needs to be earned. Your trust. And when it comes to accurate information about Ohio's safe and secure elections, where should you turn? VoteOhio.gov. VoteOhio.gov is the source for providing you with the facts and real information about elections. So no matter where you are, what you do, or who you choose, get the real facts about Ohio's elections. VoteOhio.gov, your trusted elections source. Sponsored by the Ohio Secretary of State, Frank LaRose.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Cloudy out there today with a high of 83, low 60s tonight. A little bit more sunshine on your Wednesday with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Distilled sports discussion served in light beer quantities. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Indeed you are. It's your Uncle Bo here from my great friends, and proud to tell you about them. Of course, talking about Diamond Cellar. Whether you're popping the question or ready to say, I do, there's only one true jeweler to shop for your one true love. As true jewelers, Diamond Cellar not only has designer luxury collections to suit your bridal needs, but they also have talented in-house designers who can create something truly one of a kind just for you. By the way, if you want to do like a groom's gift, like a watch, they've got a great selection of that too. So for more than 75 years, their expert staff has been caring for couples just like you, providing the absolute lowest prices guaranteed. Diamond Cellar. Check them out. Sawmill Road, Easton Town Center, or diamondcellar.com for more. It was 6, Reese. It was 6. 6 points. Atlanta's up 6. The way that they mishandled the end of the game, it's one of those ones, and the Browns had one of these over the weekend with Deshaun Watson where they ran the bootleg, and you say, what a stupid call. It's actually the smartest call you can make if you trust your quarterback the most. The read on that is pretty simple. It is either throw it if it's a layup, and I mean almost a hand-it-to-them layup, then you can throw it. Otherwise, you get down and you slide and you keep the ball and you keep it rolling. The Eagles tried a similar one last night with Saquon Barkley, where had they just run it, they could have melted more clock, eventually kicked the same type of thing, but taken 30 more seconds off the clock. As it turned out, Atlanta went down the field in about a second and a half. It didn't make a whole lot of difference. If Saquon just catches it, it's all moot anyway, because then they walk in and they win, and that's the end of it. But as it turned out, they were up 6. The number was 5.5. And Atlanta went down and got a touchdown. So this is why it is tricky to do the sports betting thing, kids. Be careful with it, because they know what they're doing out there in the desert for sure. This one was thrilling. This was and I thought the coolest thing about all of this, and I did not watch the end of it live. I'd pushed in for the night at this point, but I saw this morning the recap of the final 4 minutes on the Manning cast with Peyton and Eli and with Matt Ryan.
They were not happy with the Saquon play.
No, they were not happy with that, but they were also, the way that they described Cousins' final drive was awesome. How all three of them were describing that, how passionate Peyton was on it. And I thought Matt Ryan made one of the best points when he said, Peyton, didn't you think when you traded teams, the easiest thing to do was 2 minute? And he lit up and he said, yeah, for sure, because it's the plays it's the plays you're most comfortable. You're in the same formation usually the whole time. There's a familiarity to it. And it was really the only time in the game last night that Cousins looked comfortable. The rest of the game he didn't. But on that drive, he looked like himself. And if you're a Falcons fan, can't be too many of them out there listening, but if you are, that gives you some reason for optimism going forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's less time to think when you're running the 2-minute drill, and I think that helps athletes a lot. That just go out there and just keep going, execute. We gotta hustle. You can't think about all the things that don't matter that might just pull you back a little bit. And for Kirk Cousins, maybe his Achilles is still bothering him. I think that's a reasonable. Yeah, I think it's a reasonable thing to do. But when you're in the 2-minute drill, you got some adrenaline pumping. We gotta go. You might be able to forget about it a little bit for that drive, and we see it all the time. How many times are things a little stagnant for either the Buckeyes or just any team you're watching. And then they run a great 2-minute drill right before half.
Little tempo.
And they score a touchdown. And you're like, yeah, just do that every play. And you can't harness it. If a team could harness the 2-minute drill for every drive, they'd be the best offense ever. But there is something special when a quarterback locks in and he gets into it. And, of course, those 3 quarterbacks on the Manning cast are very excited for it because that's what they do it for. That's the exciting part of playing quarterback is going out there and leading a game-winning drive.
So it's Zach Robinson, offensive coordinator for the Falcons. This is his first time being a fully fledged OC.
Yeah.
And I wonder with Cousins, to your point, it's like, he could do this regardless of uniform, regardless of the coach, because it's like you trust Kirk Cousins and the amount of games, the amount of situations, the amount of times he's been able to do something like that.
For sure. And I think the other part about
that's why you brought him in, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's just instinct at that point. I think it's 100% true that he's not fully comfortable with his Achilles. I mean, that's you could tell how he's not driving the ball. So I think that's it. I mean, I don't know that it's hard to imagine he still has pain in it. It's probably just, does he trust it? And that's what it looks like to me, like he just doesn't trust it the way that you need to. In terms of the 2-minute, there was a time about a little 15 years ago probably where – and Chip was one of the architects of this at Oregon, where they went tempo.
Yeah.
And the whole point was get as many plays as you can, keep them basically in 2 minutes for the whole game. The NFL had its own kind of tempo wave that was led by Peyton Manning with the Colts, where they would just go no huddle all the time and just go at the line of scrimmage, line up, go. You can do it if you have elite quarterback play. Then you can do it.
But you have to hold on to possession, because that's what happened to Chip in Philly. After the first year, it got figured out just enough that he would go out there, spend literally like real time 90 seconds with the ball.
Yes.
And the defense would be back out on the field. No, you have to execute and hold on to the ball for a period of time if you're going to run that much tempo.
Which gets to kind of the bigger issue, which is 2 weeks into the NFL season, offensively, it's repugnant. It's bad. Steve Palazzolo with this tweet yesterday, which kind of encapsulated what we had talked about. We stumbled on this stat last week when I talked about there were only, in week 1, there were only 2 300-yard passers in the league. It was Tua and it was Stafford. This week, there were 3 300-yard passers. Goff, Geno, and then Purdy were the 3. 2 of those 3, obviously, in a loss of the game. Brock Purdy leads the NFL in passing yards per game at 550 yards. Again, state school, but that works out to 225 yards a game. That's it. That's low, considering what it used to be. But it's not just the yardage, it's the passing touchdowns as well. And Palazzolo, now the 33rd team, formerly of PFF, with these stats. In 2019, through 2 weeks, the NFL, 105 passing touchdowns. In 20 and 21, 110 each. In 22, another 105. In 2023, last year, it dipped all the way down, almost 20 touchdowns fewer through the first 2 weeks, down to 86. This year, 69 touchdown passes in the first 2 weeks of the regular season. That is stunningly low. It's damn near, not quite half, but it's a third of a drop-off, 30-some% drop-off from what the high was. So why is this happening? Why is this league all of a sudden unable to throw the ball with success? Talking to people around the league, I think there's 3 things that come into play here. Number one, some of this is the Mahomes effect. So the NFL 3 or 4 years ago started doing this with Mahomes when they said, look, you can – a death by 1,000 cuts, fine. Take all the underneath stuff you want. We're not giving you anything over the top. So it's this umbrella coverage that you see around the league where you will not get one-hitters. So that's part of it, is defensively philosophy. You are taking far bigger steps to ensure that there isn't anything in terms of a bust deep. So that's one of them. The other thing, I think, over the course last decade or so, because of the amount of passing that was happening in the league, linebackers became smaller and faster. And smaller, faster linebackers allow for what? It allows for them to cover much more space. So while you used to have, you think about how big Bob is. Think about in the mid-2000s, guys like Bob and Threes and AJ and Donta Hightower and those guys, these monster hulking linebackers. Those guys don't exist anymore. They don't. Like, Anthony Walker was the middle linebacker for Cleveland the last couple of years. Bob is 4 inches taller and probably in his peak 25 pounds heavier. They don't have guys like that. So now you have guys like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah who are 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1", and 220 pounds, right? They're basically safeties is what they are. So they make the windows smaller because they're quicker and faster in space. And then the third thing I think is there's no preseason play. So you're getting the kinks out in real time because of how damn long the season is, that some of this bad ball that would have been worked out in the old days in the preseason is now bleeding over to the regular season. I think those are the three factors that lead to this, but that's a stunning number. 69 touchdown passes. Go back 3 years ago, it was 110. 2 years ago, 105 in the first 2 weeks. There have just been 5 300-yard games in the NFL in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and passing was down last year, so this is the second year going into it. And also, you talk about the touchdown numbers, and I would say another concerning one with it as far as the production. I mean, defense is also a good job out of you guys, but the interceptions seem up. I don't have the stats on that, but they seem up. I mean, just looking at the list of the passing leaders in these games on the NFL scoreboard here on ESPN.com, Tua had 3, Dak Prescott had 2, Jared Goff had 2, Anthony Richardson had 3, Will Levis had 1, Brock Purdy had 1, and then it evened out a little bit as the day went on, but then yesterday we saw a few interceptions from Jalen Hurts as well. So at least like one of the quarterbacks in each game feels like they're throwing more picks, they're throwing less touchdowns, they're throwing for less yards. And with the lighter linebacker, it does always feel like, somebody is going to zag when everybody else is zigging. But nobody except for Tennessee with Derrick Henry the last few years, and that experiment kind of ran out. Nobody has fully switched to let's run the ball against these guys. Let's really focus on that. And I don't know, is there going to be a team that does figure that out and the quarterback becomes just another position for them and more of a game manager type stuff, and it isn't about getting the ultimate guy to beat it? Or do you still just keep going that route? But how much does going for the better quarterback net you right now? Because we're seeing stars struggle to have good passing days.
It is something you just gonna have to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Because I think like with the size and the closing speed of some interior defensive linemen, like you can't really just run the ball, or you can't run heavy on the ball because guys like Jalen Carter are just so quick. I mean, you saw it twice in 2 weeks with Deshaun Watson, guys able to close on him so much quicker. And yeah, he's older, but bodies that 10, 15 years ago would not be able to close on quarterbacks or any type of player really at that kind of what you consider elite NFL speed is now had by guys in the interior of the defensive line.
Yeah, I think you're right on a lot of fronts there. One other thing that jumped out to me, there are just 7 quarterbacks in the league who are averaging more than 8 yards a completion. Just 7. So everything's checked down. You go on a Sunday and you see how many guys at half have thrown for 65 yards. Trevor Lawrence had like 26 yards passing at half against Cleveland. Like, that's the norm now. That's the norm. Is there a lot? You just aren't getting out of the gates and having offensive success. Really quick, go ahead.
I'd be really interested, too, to look at the completion percentage. Where is that going? So that's dropping. So that's so many more plays that are empty. Nothing happens.
There's still, Minshew, I think, is at 77% through the first 2 weeks because everybody would have had that. Baker's really good. Darnold's really good. Everybody would have had that, right? All right, Ryan Day and the Buckeyes back to work. They got a noon kick against Marshall upcoming. You're going to hear from him coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Here's a listener tweet. Are Men and Bone stupid in real life? Yes. Yes, they are. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
At Baths R Us, we're terrible roofers. We stink at installing siding. And don't ever call us for your kitchen remodel. But if you want a stunning, beautiful bathroom makeover in just 2 or 3 days, now that's when you want to call us. See, unlike most contractors these days, we offer only one service, bathroom remodeling. We don't spread ourselves thin by doing roofing or siding and a bunch of other stuff. Nope. At Baths R Us, we dedicate every company resource into mastering the craft of bath transformations. It's why we're the Midwest's biggest 5-star family-owned bathroom company. And it's why we have the happiest customers. Just check out our Google reviews. Baths R Us. We're terrible roofers, but we're awesome bathroom remodelers. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsrus.com. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Hey, Buckeye fans. As the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. This football season, we're giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences. 3 drawings, 12 winners with prizes including tickets, sideline passes, and 2 trips to a Buckeye postseason game. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 amazing prizes. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. I love my Kubota tractor, RTV, and zero-turn I got from Green & Sons, and you can check them out online at greenandsons.com or visit them in store in Mount Sterling or north of Marysville in Raymond for all your Kubota needs.
Hey, it's Anthony. Do more with your money at Tel Ohio Credit Union. If you know Tel Ohio Choice Checking, you know all the perks that come with your account. Cash in your benefits by setting up an account today. Find out more at telohio.org.
Certain restrictions apply. Tel Ohio is open to all in Central and Southwestern Ohio. Federally insured by NCUA.
Football season is here, and we have so much stuff. One station isn't enough. Find even more pigskin on ESPN Columbus.
Set your second preset to AM 1460 or 97.1 FM HD2, or listen on the Fan app.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan.
Hey, it's Anthony Rothman. The fall deals at Germain Honda of Dublin are beautiful. The 24 Civic LX, only $249 a month for 36 months. The 24 Accord LX, only $279 a month for 36 months. With 10,000 miles a year on the lease, $34.99 cash cap reduction, payments plus tax, tag, and document fee, and away you go. How about 0.9% up to 36 months on the 24 Prologue, the first all-electric SUV from Honda. For the best deal in town, Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road.
Martin Lawrence, the Y'all Know What It Is tour.
You know you gaining weight when you walk and you feel like somebody following you.
Saturday, September 21st at Nationwide Arena. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Pop quiz. What's the best way to go back to school? With Giant Eagle and Market District, of course. From lunchbox favorites to fun after-school snacks. Shop deals for school days and save on thousands of items throughout the store. Visit your local Giant Eagle or Market District today.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Ohio Basement Authority. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at ohiobasementauthority.com.
When I wake up, the best mornings in the morning light start with Wrangler. Jeans, jackets, and shirts that get your day started on the right foot.
I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my old blue jeans on.
Good mornings make for better days.
I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my old blue jeans on.
Wrangler, for the ride of life.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy, and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
What's up?
What's up, man? Sup with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 2 restaurant locations in Grandview and Gahanna. Drink local, drink High Bank.
All right, here's what's up on a Tuesday edition of the program. Buckeyes back at it this week after the bye week in week 3 of the season. Ryan Day was on Roundtable last night. The fellas asked him, what exactly did you accomplish in the bye week? Here's Coach.
Just, that we get better and we just continue to improve and, have 3 intentional days of practice. Kind of an early week to not have a game. So we really wanted to make sure that, we had 3 really good days and stayed in our routine. So we came in on Sunday, we practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then came back in yesterday, did our normal Sunday, and we'll be back out there tomorrow.
I think it's one of those things that they were playing somebody other than Marshall. We would be a little bit more concerned about this, but you're almost 40-point favorites. If you were going into a even Michigan State, like if Michigan State were this weekend, you'd have a little bit of a different feel. Like, did you lose momentum? But quite honestly, the talent discrepancy between Ohio State and Marshall is so extreme that even if they are how they were week 1 against Akron, they're still going to be fine. There's no threat here. This isn't whereas if it were Michigan State or it were Iowa or it were somebody who had at least similar athletic profile, you'd be saying, boy, this really sucks. But you could almost treat this as like week one again, I think, honestly.
Yeah, and just like week one, they kind of wait until game week to, at least the way it sounds, to like really install what they're going to do against Marshall. If it was a better opponent, maybe they would spend that past week as not just completely improvement, maybe some install, maybe some scout that is going to look like it, but I don't think they spend very much time on Marshall at all. I also like his use of intentional days of practice because, for me at least, it implies that there are accidental days of practice, which I think is funny.
Well, you don't imagine like guys just happen to run into each other at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center at the same time. Like, well, we might as well.
Yeah, just I guess we're practicing.
So
Practice broke out.
Yeah.
Ryan Day did two things that I do almost every week, which is go to a high school football game and then watch college football. I'm curious how he took those in. Let's start with his Friday night football under the lights.
It's a reminder of why you started coaching, way back when, to see Friday Night Lights and, it's just great to see, the coaches, the players, the students in the stands, the bands, and, how important high school football is to so many people. And it's just great to be around it. And it is a great reminder of why you get into coaching. And, those kids live and die on those Friday nights in every game. And that's why you do this.
I said this in week one of the college football season. I believe it. I know you went back you watched the Centerville game this weekend, Chops. It is the last community event that we have, truly, where the town still comes and fills the stadium, especially in the early month, when everybody's kind of in the mix in August and September. I'm sure as teams struggle, you start to peter out as you get into October and the weather gets bad. But on these perfect fall nights, you could throw a dart and go to any high school football game in the area, and you're going to have that experience. And so for Ryan Day to be able to go watch his son play at Watterson, that's awesome. And to not have any, I'm sure he can do that anyway. Anytime there's a home game, I'm sure he can do that. But just to be able to do it without having to worry about what's coming for you on Saturday, he got to have that unique, really cool experience that we all have still under the lights on a Friday.
Yeah, and there are a few college towns that I guess have maybe a similar vibe, but it's still not the same. There's just so much more infrastructure around them. I mean, think Ohio Stadium has the campus and then the parking lot and everything. So even a night game, it's still really awesome. I'm not saying it's not, but there's so much more to it. Whereas we parked in a random parking lot at Fairmont's high school, and then we're walking through a neighborhood with cars parked on the street, and there's just a lit up stadium. Everything else is just normal neighborhood level of lighting and just this giant beacon that everybody's headed to. So yeah, high school football really has that. And one thing I noticed during the game that I was like, I wonder, that would be really funny if an NFL coach or even if a college coach brought that. The players on the Centerville sideline were still doing defense, to get their team. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Jamar Chase was out there on a Bengals sideline yelling defense and clapping his hands? But that's
Russell
the magic of high school. Yeah.
Russell Wilson did that?
He does everything, I guess.
Yeah. You can still hear in some broadcasts the sideline go, pass.
Yeah. Remember, he would do that, yell run and pass. That was Russell Wilson.
What a goofball.
He was a goofball. There is that. That's pretty cool. There's also pretty cool when you are a kid who plays at these places and all of a sudden a Buckeye coach shows up on the sideline and the whispers start to get out that they're there. The head coach, obviously, but when Three shows up at one of these places on a Friday night around Ohio, they're like, oh my God, it's James Laurinaitis, he's here. And then the word starts to get out. Is that who I think it is? That type of thing. I think that's absolutely awesome. Bernie Kosar does that up in Northeast Ohio. He just randomly goes to games on a Friday night.
Oh, him and Donovan Mitchell just checking out high school sports in the area.
Mitchell does that too. Yeah.
It also works because Centerville had a few of these, and when I was in elementary to middle school, it was AJ Hawk, the D1 player, especially if they go to Ohio State when they come back. All the kids want him to sign the little, those little plastic footballs that they throw into the crowd, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That stuff's awesome.
I still have an AJ Hawk signed little football in my parents' house somewhere.
Of course. Yeah, you should. That's what what number did he wear at Centerville?
I don't know off the top of my head what number he wore at Centerville. I'll have to look into that now that you...
Yeah, he was 47 here, which was Chick's number. So there's the lineage there that was pretty cool. Ryan Day also, as you're looking that up, Ryan Day also took in a college football Saturday, and he watched some of it. Here's what he had to say about what he saw.
You start at noon, and you watch the games, and now you can have 3 or 4 games going on at once, and you watch them for a lot of different reasons. You're watching it to see situations. You're watching it to see, the intensity of the teams, the body types, how they're competing. you're just looking at all those things, and you have the 3:30 games and you have the night games. So, I mean, it just goes all day, and it is a great way to get some rest on a Saturday, but also an opportunity just to see it from a different perspective. And, I showed some clips of some games to the team on Sunday, showed a few interviews, showed some different things, because it is good to get that perspective, because, when you're in it on Saturdays, you don't really have an opportunity to watch those games as much.
Come on,
the
Coach.
biggest difference between Saturdays in college and NFL's on Sunday is in college you have intent to watch a couple of games specifically, but you can be pulled in any number of directions based on what's happening. Places you never thought you'd be. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I never had any intent of watching this game. All of a sudden, an upset's going to happen or something is going to happen statistically. You paratroop into it. Like, I had no intent of watching Florida, Texas A&M, but it was going so poorly for Napier, and I knew they had legway. I'm like, how is he managing this? And as it turns out, not well. And that's the beauty of the college game, is you end up in places you did not intend, and it sounded like Ryan Day had one of those experiences.
Yeah, that's interesting because, like, inversely, the NFL doesn't quite have that. I'm usually just going to watch, even if you have all of the games available to you like you normally do with college, I don't know if I'm always tuning into a game just because it's close. Whereas that happens in college. You're right.
You're going to have your games in your viewing area in the NFL, and if you pay for Red Zone, I watch Browns and Bengals main TV. And I'll do them both if they're both on different. I'll watch them both, and then I'll have Red Zone on the third TV. So I feel like I watch the whole league. You can't possibly watch all of college football. No chance. So that's how you get drug into different places.
It would take you all week, and then it would just be another week starting again to watch every game. Yeah, and I do, Coach, be like Sark. Name names. What games did you watch? What games did you show your team to show them what not to go with?
I have a feeling he watched probably Michigan, Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Wisconsin. That would be my guess of the games that he paid very, very close attention to. In other words, similar to the ones we watched. Like, those are the ones we're watching because those are the peers. We have an update on A.J. Hawk.
34 with the Elks. Mike Nugent, number 5. That came up in my search, too, so I thought I'd share it.
That makes sense. That was an era where
he played fullback, too, obviously, when they were still running the triple. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like 34, 32, 33, 34. Those were the dudes.
Yeah.
Like, when I was young, if you were a dude and you weren't a quarterback, you wore 32, 33, 34.
Now, nobody wants to be in 30s, I would guess.
Yeah, not like
you got Sawyer in 33.
I think it could come back. I noticed this in youth sports. Like, now kids want to wear 32, 24, 33, those type of numbers. You start to, like, Cooper Flagg wore 32 in high school.
Ohio State's got a quarterback that wears 33.
Yes,
I think the 80s are going to start to cycle back in for wide receivers. A little bit more.
It'll change. It'll start to cycle back a little bit. How not to nurture a quarterback, coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Hey friends, Brandon Beam here for Truehold. Home values in the city, well, they're sky high. We know that. You have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked. So if you're thinking about selling, it's the right time. Except for 2 things. High interest rates are going to burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Pretty smart, right? Truehold is going to make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others, and it's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, secure your retirement, and do whatever you want with it. It's your cash. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. Again, that's Truehold.com.
Sherrod Brown says,
I'll work with anyone to protect Ohio.
But what Sherrod Brown does in D.C. has not protected Ohio women and children. Brown voted multiple times to allow transgender biological males to compete in girls' sports. Not only unfair, but risking injury to female athletes. Brown even introduced legislation to allow transgender biological men into girls' locker rooms. And Brown would allow puberty blockers, even sex change surgery for children. Worse, Brown introduced a law to force women's domestic violence shelters to accept transgender biological men, inflicting more trauma on abused women. So when Brown says,
I'll work with anyone to protect Ohio,
Sherrod Brown is not protecting Ohio women and children. In fact, he's endangering them. Ohio deserves better. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Dick from Dayton says, listen to The Ryan Day Show. Paul Keels and Jim Lachey join Coach every Thursday from noon to 1.
Presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan.
Navigating mental health insurance benefits can be overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone. The Mental Health Insurance Assistance Office is here to guide you. Our expert team will help you connect with your health insurance plan to understand available behavioral health benefits. Say goodbye to frustration and hello to control over your mental well-being. Call 855-438-6442 today.
We are Ortho Alliance. Together, we deliver the most experienced orthopedic care near you and throughout Central Ohio. Together, we provide expert care when you need it with same-day and next-day appointments. We put our patients' care first, from physical therapy to the most challenging joint replacement surgeries. We are JIS Orthopedics, Ortho Neuro, Orthopedic Associates of Zanesville, Orthopedic Foot and Ankle Center, and Orthopedic Specialists in Sports Medicine. And we are better together. Visit orthoalliance.com or call 877-WE-ARE-OA.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
Well, fellas, listen up. Erectile dysfunction is an intimacy destroyer. Research shows that men can draw apart from their partners when ED affects the sex life. Condition causes stress, anxiety, and depression. Even worse, a man's partner can blame themselves when ED becomes a problem. And with dealing with the issues of erectile dysfunction, you want the right treatment for your specific medical situation. Every case is different. Finding the right treatment can mean the difference between just an okay experience and an amazing one. And that's where my friends at Tri-State Men's Health come in. Their treatments work where the pills and herbals fail. They have treatments with success rates well over 90%. So do yourself a favor. Schedule a consult with Tri-State Men's Health here in town. Your initial visit is $99, includes the medical consult, licensed medical provider, TNPSA test, and a medically advised test dose. Now, if the test dose doesn't work, the office visit is free, so it's a no-lose win-win for you. Give them a call today. Get your sex life back on track. 800-900-9654. Visit TriStateMen'sHealth.com today. 2 locations here in town. Quick exit off 270 in Hilliard into your medical mile in Westerville as well on that. All right, you have what I would say is potential, what is shaping up to be, quite honestly, one of the worst transactions in the history of team sports. And that is what the Carolina Panthers did to acquire Bryce Young, and then what has happened on the field for Bryce Young since. Bryce Young was always, he's an outlier at draft. The list of 5'11" quarterbacks who look like they weigh 190 pounds succeeding in the NFL is short, very short. I don't even name them. I'll wait. There aren't any. It's very few. Kyler obviously is one of the shorter guys. Baker's one of the shorter guys, but they're bigger. They're thicker. Kyler is ultra fast as well. Like, he can get away from things. That's not what Bryce is. Bryce is a stereotypical quarterback, pocket quarterback, and his traits, the one that you would get to most would be Drew Brees, probably. But if you look at Brees' even physical makeup, he is a lot thicker than Bryce Young is. There just isn't any. So when you're an outlier to start, your situation then has to be perfect. Their situation that he is in could not have been worse.
And they've made it worse as he's been there, too.
18 games into his career, he's 2-16. And what we saw in the first 2 games is a quarterback who was completely lost. So Carolina benched him. They benched him. This is as soon as I've seen a number 1 overall pick benched in a long time. Should he have played right away? Who knows? How much of this was the circumstance undoing the talent? We'll never know. It's a combination of all of it, perhaps. Here's what I do know, though. If you're taking someone who is already an outlier, putting them in an advantageous position only exacerbates the problem, and that's what's happened in Carolina. Quite honestly, I don't know how he comes back from this there, and if you are a team who loved him in the draft, you might be able to get him. I don't even know if it would take a 1. You might be able to get it for a 2, maybe a 3. If you loved him in the process 18 months ago, my guess is he's to be had right now, because they are the worst team in the NFL. It's not particularly close. They really have no blue chip talent whatsoever. They are going to pick number 1 overall. I think it's in play that they go 0-17. It's a long season. They'll win a game or 2, I'm sure, but their talent is not going to make that a necessity. It'd be very simple for them to be the worst team in the league and pick number 1 overall. I would not at all be surprised if they're open to trading him, honestly.
Yeah, and I think David Tepper is also kind of an impulsive guy. So if you call them up and give them an offer that's good enough, you might actually be able to get your hands on him. I agree with you. I think that is in play right now. And then it's just always made worse because, we look at trades like who won, who lost the trade. This one could not be clear that Chicago won this trade. Now, Caleb Williams has only played 2 games and hasn't looked stellar, but they've won those 2 games and he's looked a lot better than Bryce Young. But that's not the only comparison that there is there. That results in them getting your number 1 overall pick. That results in them getting DJ Moore as a wide receiver for a weapon. And now you guys have traded Christian McCaffrey. You've basically blown up any semblance of the team you had before. And you've tried to start this new one with Bryce Young. But it's one of those scenarios where, you didn't put a team around him. So you're just kind of letting them flail. New England did the opposite because they knew that this wouldn't be a good environment for Drake May. Now, he wasn't the number 1 overall pick, so maybe it's a little easier to do that and start Jacoby Brissett, but it's pretty clear that you probably shouldn't have just thrown Bryce Young in when you didn't have a team around him, because ironically, you just saw that happen in Chicago with Justin Fields, that his first 2 seasons were just so haphazard because there wasn't enough around him, and that's the quickest way to destroy a quarterback. Throw him out there with a team that is not capable of competing in the NFL, and then you have a quarterback who's learning, and it's just going to make it so hard for him. But now, Andy Dalton's back. All right, the Red Rocket back. And also, Bo, I looked it up. Fran Tarkenton was 6 foot and 190, drafted in 1961.
Yeah,
the same thing.
NFL athletes were the exact same in the 60s as they are now. There were a lot of Myles Garretts running around in the 60s. Go ahead, Reese.
Has a team ever tanked this early in the season?
Yeah.
That's a tank. You start Andy Dalton, you're tanked, you're done. You have now thrown up the white flag week 3.
Yeah, that they're not only are you, yes, they're tanking, but also they are retarding Bryce Young's growth.
Yeah.
That is what they're doing. I mean, they've broken him. No, I don't think he comes back. This isn't new, by the way. This happens a lot. This happened to Tim Couch. I think it happened to Derek Carr's brother David. Where the situation, no, not this early in terms of being benched. Usually get 2 or 3 years. I'm just saying, like, wrecked by circumstance.
Zach Wilson's probably the most recent example. Yeah,
Zach Wilson could be another good one. There's been a lot of them, but those guys, number 1 overall picks. So it's Jamarcus Russell of his own doing. There's been a lot of these that have gone number 1 overall and just haven't found their way.
And they very rarely pull themselves out.
Very rarely. Here's what I would say. Although Darnold looks like he's finding his way out in Minnesota, so he finally got to a right circumstance. So Tannehill did that too. He eventually got to a right circumstance.
Gino's kind of doing it. Yeah.
Baker had more success in Cleveland, though. He's actually pretty good for half the time when he was up there.
It almost fell apart because of off-the-field stuff for Baker. I mean, really, that is why, yeah.
Yeah. He was undone by a tweet. But I do think you have to remember this. I was at the Combine every year the last 6 years. it was consensus. There wasn't anybody who was vouching for C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. So don't believe the revisionist history from people who say, I knew C.J. would be better than Bryce. Nobody at the Combine was willing to say that. And we had them all on. I talked to Daniel Jeremiah. We talked to Greg Cosell. We talked to all of these guys that this is the job. The PFF guys. I remember talking to Mike Renner about it, like C.J. versus Bryce, and it was like Bryce and then separation and then C.J. Mm-hmm. So the revisionist history of, I always loved C.J. more. No, you didn't.
No, everybody spent all
and I don't think Houston did either.
Trying to push CJ down the list.
Yeah, I don't think Houston did either. Landry Locker, our buddy, had this yesterday he's right that if Houston had gotten the number 1 overall pick from the Bears, they would have taken Bryce Young. So this is circumstance more than it is evaluation. Either that or all the evaluations were off. The Real Truth coming up next, second hour of the program. Nate Davis at 10:33 from USA Today on the NFL. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Your morning just got beefier. Morning Juice with Beamer, Bobby, and Shark.
Weekdays from 6 to 9.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Martin Lawrence, the Y'all Know What It Is tour.
You know you gaining weight when you walk and you feel like somebody following you.
Saturday, September 21st at Nationwide Arena. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Gambling too much? I'm Abdullah Mahmood, problem gambling counselor at Mary Heben, where we offer in-person, virtual, and group options. We're here for you no matter what, and that's a bet you can actually count on this football season. Go to maryheben.com today.
Common Man here for Care Heating and Cooling. Weather is unpredictable, but the inside of your home should be comfortable just the way you like it. And the best way to avoid those unnecessary surprises is with a care plan. See, with a care plan, you get priority service, system maintenance in case of an emergency. Just another way to give you and your family peace of mind. And maintaining your systems properly can help save you money. A properly maintained furnace and air conditioner run more efficiently, reducing your utility usage. Regular maintenance also prevents breakdowns and extends the life of your equipment. I'm on the care plan, and I'm quite the expert. I'll stop by and give your system a once-over. I will. Don't tempt me. I end every commercial the same way, telling you to hire Care when you need a company you can trust. It's not just the slogan. That's the Care creed. How about this? Lennox. They have thousands of dealers nationwide. HVAC royalty. Last year, Lennox gave Care their coveted Partner of the Year award because they're trusted by their customers and their partners. Care Heating and Cooling. Call 1-800-COOLING or book an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com when you need a company you can trust.
The Columbus Men's Clinic opened in 2014 for guys who get it done. Let's talk, fellas. You solve problems all day at work. You fix your sink when it's broken. But when it comes to ED and low T, it doesn't get done. We get it. You hate going to the doctor, but you're the guy that fixes things. At the Columbus Men's Clinic, there's nothing to fear and no reason to delay. We've been destroying bedroom boredom for a decade. So if you haven't fixed this, call us. When the pills fail, call us. If you feel like you've tried everything, call us. Here, there's hope. From the conventional to the next level. You'll be seen by our friendly, discreet physician who will take the time to listen. Imagine finally taking care of this with no surgery. Imagine going from feeling gray to living life in vibrant color. It's time to be confident. Join the thousands of guys who have found success after walking through our doors. Will you be one of them? Dial 614-300-7400 or go to columbusmensclinic.com to schedule a $99 male performance consultation, including blood work. Do it for you. Do it for her. columbusmensclinic.com. Book your appointment now.
With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you can watch every game, every Sunday, all in one place. Which means you can watch the Dolphins, and the Broncos, and the Lions, and the Cowboys, and the Jets. Or whoever you're rooting for, all in your living room. But not literally, of course. That would be dangerous. Watch every game, every Sunday with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Sign up at youtube.com/NFLST. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Number 3, Ohio State's back from the bye this week. The Buckeyes are 40-point favorites hosting Marshall Saturday at noon. It's the second all-time meeting between the two schools. Buckeyes beat the Herd back in 2004. Ohio State's head coach is expected to speak with the media around noon today. We'll have Ryan Day's comments live on the Fan when he hits the podium. It was announced yesterday that next week's Big Ten opener for the Buckeyes at Michigan State will be a 7 p.m. kick and broadcast as a Peacock-only game. In the NFL, the Falcons beat the Eagles last night 22-21 to put a bow on Week 2. In baseball, the Guardians beat the Twins 4-3 last night. They've got 11 games left and lead the AL Central by 5 games over the Royals. Cleveland hosts Minnesota again tonight at 6:40. This update sponsored by Roosters. Roosters is giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences, tickets, sideline passes, a trip for 2 to a postseason game, and more. Register today at roosterswings.com.
Your emails on the air, but we won't tell you where to send them. Hey, we're not doing all the work for you. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, second hour here on a Tuesday edition. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan. You guys seeing this breaking news out of New York City? Sean Diddy Combs arrested for sex trafficking and racketeering charges. That's Southern District of New York.
Not good.
That ain't good.
No,
that ain't good. Also, like, if you would have told me like 20 years ago yeah, okay. Always something a little off with his operation.
And I think he got to a point, too, maybe where he was a guy where everything worked. So let's just try this now, too. And then he just kept going, and everybody would say yes, and now here you are. But I've tried. There's so much going on that is one that I've chosen. I'm staying above the fray. I don't care about Diddy. If he goes away, who cares?
He's one of the, well, no, I don't care about him at all either. But just you think about the pop culture. He's been all like for certainly like my high school years through college. He was as much of a pop cultural touchstone as anybody. He was all over that East West rap stuff, all of that. He was in the middle of all of those things.
The weird thing, like I know all that stuff, but for me, he's more of an actor than he is. Yeah, I mean, he obviously does a lot of like rap, hip hop production, but you don't really. Yeah. That's not really in your face of what he's got his hands in. I'm sure he does have his hands in a lot, but I see him mostly in movies from my time.
Yeah. There you go. So there's your breaking news of the day. Time for the real truth. Hit it, fellas.
Bishop and Friends present The Real Truth.
Sponsored by Diamond Cellar. Over 76 years of experience and guaranteed lowest prices on Sawmill Road or diamondcellar.com.
First one up today. At Oregon is still the biggest scheduled test on the Buckeyes schedule. Is that the real truth?
I think it is. I think it is the real truth. The reason I wanted to talk about this, though, was they showed their explosiveness against Oregon State, and there's reason to have concern there. I still think that Ohio State ought to be able to bully them quite a bit. But I do think they're explosive on offense. Dylan Gabriel and the whole operation, they have weapons. Their offensive line, the interior of it, should be shored up by the time we go out there in early October. But the real reason I wanted to get to this is, what's second? Is it Penn State for sure? Is it Nebraska?
And those three are right in conjunction with each other. Now, there's a bye after Oregon because you're traveling out west, but it's at Oregon, home against Nebraska, and at Penn State, 3 straight games in 4 weeks.
Nebraska is frisky. The Raiola kid, you want to talk about in a situation to succeed? He is in a situation to succeed, and he is 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Now, he's never seen anything like this. They're playing at home, but he's fearless. He is absolutely fearless at the position. And do I think he could come in here as a freshman? No, I certainly don't. But I don't know that anybody thought Matt Barkley could do that, and he did it as a freshman. That Buckeye team was a little different than this one, but I think you see the point. And I still don't think it's that big of a threat. But I still think it goes Oregon, Penn State, but then Nebraska might be third. We're going to get to a Michigan element here that I think could change how I view Michigan. But for now, I think maybe that's how I would rank them based on what Michigan has been to this point in the season, which is wildly incompetent on offense.
I think still looking forward, it is at Oregon. One, because it's on the road. It's a long trip. It's not an opponent that you are all that familiar with. Obviously, we've never played the Dan Lanning version of Oregon here at Ohio State. Or No, yeah, he wasn't there in 22.
Cristobal.
Yeah, it was Cristobal.
Mario,
Yeah, so they have not played the Dan Lanning version. So I think it's still Oregon, but I do think the real truth is that it is going to come through those three. Like you said, we're going to talk about that team up north a little bit later here in the real truth, but that grouping of three will be really interesting to look at after the fact of like which one actually did give Ohio State the toughest test. Because I think those three games are the ones where they will get tested a little bit, how tough will each test will be. And then probably because it's Ohio State, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the three was a blowout. Things just happen and Ohio State just rolls over one of those three teams. Now, oddly enough, that one would also be Nebraska, but that's because I feel the most unsure about them. They've been really good and even a bit surprising this year. But is it fully real or is it just some early season stuff with Dylan Raiola? And you mentioned him. Buddy really thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. Like, not just like, I want to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. He dresses and acts and does the mannerisms. He tries to be just like Patrick.
What's strange about it is, like, they know each other. They go to the same quarterback coach, and then he just mimics him. Hairdo, number, mannerisms. You know who else did this? This just popped in my head. Kobe did this. Kobe did this with Mike. Mannerisms, the way he talked, the hair, like when he shaved it bald, all of it. The game, it was a mimic of Mike. Absolute mimic.
I heard an internet theory that he finally transferred to Nebraska because he was cycling through which red jersey would look most like Mahomes at 15. I'm like, I think that one's just an internet theory. We could leave it there, but it is funny.
If we're going by the wording of the question, it's not the real truth. I think it's the toughest test remaining. And I think it's not. I think it's just coincidental that you've got Oregon, then Nebraska, then Penn State at your schedule, because I think that's toughest 1, toughest 2, toughest 3. I think Nebraska's better than Penn State. I think that'll show in about a month here. I think the biggest game on the Buckeyes schedule, it is Michigan. Just all things considered going into this.
Oh, game versus test. Game versus test.
Toughest.
That's a good distinction, yeah.
If you replace the biggest scheduled game, if you replace that, like we did test.
So if you wanted to say Oregon is still the toughest test on the Buckeyes schedule,
biggest
absolutely real truth. Biggest scheduled game, it's Big Blue.
Because I can totally live with a loss at Oregon. I don't want it, but I could live with it. But a loss against Michigan? No, not this year. That can't happen. Arch Manning will start more games this season at Texas than Quinn Ewers. Is that the real truth?
So I saw already, like, they're not willing to label Quinn out this week, like he's questionable for this week. The reason I brought this one up is because I wanted to talk about the notion of, if you're Steve Sarkisian, how much do you want Arch Manning to play? Because if he plays and continues to play well, like he did against UTSA, then do you even bring Ewers back? And how do you handle that going forward? So it's a really beautiful mess that he has at the quarterback thing. These are first world problems for sure, that you have what looks like 2 first-round talent quarterbacks on your roster. My hunch is right now it's not the real truth, just because this is a long season. And I think they're going to be around at least until the semifinal, the national semifinal. I just think they're built that way. So I'm going to say no, it's not the real truth, but I think it could be right up on it. I could absolutely see Manning starting the next 2 to 3, 4 games. And then does Ewers come back, for example, to the Georgia game? Does Ewers start the Oklahoma game? That's when their schedule starts to get interesting on October 12th. So just kind of monitor that. I think it is not the real truth that Quinn will start more, but it could flip pretty quickly based on what Manning does here. This is a tough spot for the coach, man.
Yeah, I think it is going to be Quinn, and he's already got he's got the 3 starts under his belt. But if you go from here, then what does that look like too? Like, who's going to start more through the rest of the season, through their last 9 regular season games? You got that UL Monroe game this weekend, then Mississippi State, then a bye, and I would think that's. I mean, I guess it would depend on how the Oklahoma game went, that they maybe would make a change for Georgia. Like if they keep with Arch and it just doesn't look good against Oklahoma, he finally plays a much better opponent, and he's just not ready. But I would think that the plan would be to get Quinn Ewers back for that Oklahoma game. Give him 3 weeks of rest. They say he's week to week with this oblique injury. That's what I would guess. But you're right. You do run into that conundrum where there was already so much hype around Arch Manning, and people wanted to see him and frothing at the mouth to see the next great Texas quarterback. Now that he's in, if he plays well, going back, that is always the toughest stuff for a coach, especially if you take him out and then Quinn isn't so hot coming back from injury.
Boy, I sure hope this is the real truth because it'll be fun as hell to talk about it. Frustrating as hell, I think, for Longhorns fans because you've seen, then that becomes bigger than the team and the goals that you'd like to accomplish if you're Steve Sarkisian. I don't think it's the real truth. I do think they get Ewers back the week before. The Red River can't call it a shootout anymore just so he can work off some of what I don't think will be too much rust. I think you see a lot of Arch Manning in the precursor to the game of the Texas State Fair. But I think Quinn takes it from OU, and then I think Georgia's the next week. So you have Ewers because they lost to Oklahoma last year, but if Ewers is able to lead Texas to a win there, then you got all the momentum in the world in that game that I want to say is in Austin against the Bulldogs.
Looks like it. Yeah, it's got a versus there, so I don't think they're playing two neutral sites in a row, right?
No, they put Georgia in Austin. The SEC played the hits kids. They put Georgia in Austin, and they put Alabama in Oklahoma, in Norman.
Yeah, but we put Indiana in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, we did it right.
See how good that looked, those mountains.
We did it right, baby. Kick off the Big Ten play.
We got time for at least one more. Michigan named Alex Orji their starting QB for the USC game. The Wolverines have their identity. Is that the real truth?
Yes. Yes, they do. Alex Orji cannot throw the ball accurately. Full stop. But at least now there is something that they can do at an elite level. You now will have to defend Alex Orji in the ground game, in the run game, along with Donovan Edwards and along with the rest of their backs. In the previous incarnation of their offense, the way that they started, there was no threat to throw the ball, and also the quarterback wasn't a threat to run. They were one of the easiest defense teams in college football was Michigan. This at least gives them a path. This at least gives them an identity. I don't know what the hell took them so long on this. I don't know why they didn't do this from Jump Street. You can scheme up some plays for Orji in the pass game where they're layups, and they will. I don't have any idea why it took so long for them to do this.
Yeah, during the offseason, once, it started to read up a little bit on Michigan's quarterback situation, and you figure out who Alex Orji is, he might not be that great of a passer, but he is this exemplary athlete who can, from the quarterback position, really take off and get some work done on the ground. And I thought once we saw him kind of, it's hard to tell for sure in a spring game, but it looked like he was a starter in the spring game. And I thought, okay, that makes sense for Michigan, especially when you saw Sharon Moore take over for Harbaugh at Penn State. They just ran the ball. And I was like, that's going to be their offense. They're going to try to run the ball and have a quarterback who can run it too. And then they come out with Warren, and Warren, I guess, is a little bit better at passing, but not by much.
No.
It's just going to be, you are right. It is the real truth. It does give them more of an identity offensively, but it is also the real truth that it's still not a very good offensive team.
No, it's valedictorian of summer school, but at least it's something.
I wonder, because with the announcement yesterday, and this is the real truth, but I wonder with the announcement yesterday, this was Sharon Moore saying, let's see if we can have a little bit more to our offense than just running the ball over the first couple weeks of the season, knowing that they probably weren't going to beat Texas. But everything else, they could probably get by. And then once you realize, no, we can just run the ball, now they can lean into it. Because we talked about with Ohio State, you can afford that loss in Oregon, doesn't tank your season. Michigan can afford that loss to Texas, doesn't tank their season. It's not a conference game. You still have everything in front of you. Now you're in the Big Ten. Let's stick with what you're good at. What you know that you're good at.
Yeah, I think so too. You guys saw that his contract now, they can fire him with cause.
Huh.
So that's what the contract negotiations were about.
For this reason. Yeah.
Will there be cause? Is there anything that might come up?
I don't know. Who knows? It's been such a clean program. The Browns and Bengals. Boy, Bengals needing to regroup after 0-2. The Browns at 500, but both operations with opportunity on the horizon to get better in a hurry. We'll get into that coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
Erectile dysfunction is a destroyer of your confidence, of your joy and intimacy, and often it can even harm your relationship. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, the leading men's sexual health practice in our area for treating erectile dysfunction, and I want you to know today that if you're like most men, you can be free of ED and all the impacts it has on your life. At Tri-State Men's Health, we're your local provider for dealing with men's sexual health issues. Our expert medical teams are focused on treating ED, and we have highly effective treatment plans with some protocols that work in well over 90% of cases. We can even combine treatments for greater efficacy. All of which means it's very likely you'll be having great sex again within just a day or two of your first appointment. You might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 2 convenient locations, just off 270 in Hilliard and near the Medical Mile in Westerville.
They come here illegally, crossing our southern border. Then Sherrod Brown rolls out the welcome mat for them here in Ohio. Brown voted to give amnesty to 11 million illegal immigrants, including those convicted of crimes like drunk driving, aggravated assault, and child abuse. And Sherrod Brown voted 10 times to protect sanctuary cities in Ohio, which release dangerous illegals back onto the street, making Ohio's neighborhoods less safe. And while we struggle to make ends meet, Sherrod Brown is voting to give illegals taxpayer-funded benefits, like health care for illegals granted amnesty, Social Security, COVID relief checks, even a program to fly Haitian migrants into Ohio airports, all paid for by you, the taxpayer. You think you know Sherrod Brown? Well, after 31 years in Washington, Sherrod Brown's way too liberal for Ohio. American Crossroads paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. AmericanCrossroads.org.
Rockman and Ice.
With this roster intact, the ceiling is so high, and opinions of Ohio State are so high just because there's so much talent right now on both sides of the ball that's just ready to cook.
Rockman and Ice. Weekdays at noon.
Sponsored by Pella Columbus.
The Fan.
Hello. I am a serious announcer hired to deliver a serious announcement. Get an Apex Pros winter tune-up for your furnace right now for only $29. Notice we are simply giving you the facts. Just $29 to make sure your furnace is ready for the upcoming Ohio winter. We know how you enjoy our usual fun and funny commercials. Hello? Beg pardon? Well, I see no reason to bring my mother into this. Good day to you, sir. Where was I? Oh, yes. A $29 tune-up will make sure your furnace runs safely and warmly all winter. That's serious. I'm serious. That's why we're not doing the usual that you've come to expect from Apex Pros. None of this or this nonsense. $29 for a furnace tune-up from Apex Pros. The pros who knows? Knows? Is that really how you say it? The pros who...
Apex Pros, the official plumber of the Columbus Blue Jackets. ApexPros.com.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Sunny and hot with a high of 86. Clear tonight, low 60. And then tomorrow we may get a pop-up shower, which we haven't seen in quite some time. It's only about a 20% chance of rain. It'll be cooler on your Tuesday with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Dylan Rubshad with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Producers, co-hosts, friends, some of those things are true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Hey guys, it's Chops. People, they're noticing a difference with me. They're noticing a difference with Austin Ward on the sidelines. They're noticing a difference with Scotty Vegas, probably at the sportsbook where you've seen him. We're all a little quicker on our feet. We are pounds lighter, and that is all thanks to Awaken 180. comments like, man, you look so good, or what do you weigh now? I get asked that all the time because I actually kept it off for a year, so people have really started to notice. Basically everybody in my life has, and that could be you too, because Awaken 180 gives you the tools to not only lose the weight but keep the weight off, and that's what I've been able to do. Keep it off for well over a year and a half right now. So if you have questions, you can ask me, you can ask Austin Ward, you can ask Scotty Vegas, or any of the 23,000 other Awaken 180 clients who took control of their weight. You game? If so, speak to Awaken 180 directly by calling 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com. Bishop and Friends, we're sponsored by Awaken 180. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
You know what we didn't do before the NFL season? We did not set kind of the standard of expectations we're going to judge the two Ohio teams on in terms of what prism we're going to look at them through. So I think from the Browns prism, and Reese, you tell me if you're comfortable with this, I think we judge the Browns on the prism of a team good enough to win a playoff game and a team that expects to be in the mix in the division and potentially win it.
Yes.
That seems fair. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we had not explicitly stated that, but if 4 plays at the Pro Bowl level, that is in the cards.
I think if he plays at the Pro Bowl level, they can win a Super Bowl. I think if he plays at a middling, somewhere between 12 and 18 in the NFL level, which would be a step up from what he's played in Cleveland to this point, then I think you can still win a playoff game. I think their defense is good enough. You can still win a playoff game, and I still think you can be in the hunt in the division. If he's just kind of middling, I think that's okay. Remember, they will get Nick Chubb back. That is happening. I don't know if that'll happen right away in October, but he is coming back, and all reports are that he looks great. So to me, that seems like the prism we'll judge the Browns on. Now, conversely, with the Bengals, go in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, they've set it up that way, right? I mean, Jesse Bates picked off a pass from Atlanta last night. So, like, their window with this look is right now, and they will get T. Higgins back. He hasn't played yet, so they will get him back. But that's fair, right, Chops? Win the Super Bowl, Bengals? They set it up that way.
Like you said, we never actually sat down and had a segment where we said, what are the expectations? But I think we got to that throughout the offseason, that the Browns, we would judge a successful season as like win a playoff game, and everything else would be great, do more than that, but at least win a playoff game, and that would show that improvement. And for the Bengals, Joe Burrow said it himself. The window's open as long as his career is there, and especially with the offensive players that they have been able to hold on still this time. This is another year where the expectation is a Super Bowl. You're going to be a little disappointed, for sure.
Yeah. So, to that end, based on what we've seen in 2 games, which one is closer to satisfying that goal? The Browns with what we've seen through 2 games from them, or the Bengals and what we've seen through 2 games from them?
I have a bigger sneaking suspicion that we've seen the real Browns and not the real Bengals yet. But the real truth is that we haven't seen the real either of them, but that's what it feels like so far 2 weeks in.
I think it's the Bengals still. I think you're closer to beating the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Browns, nobody expects anything, I think, anymore out of the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. I think the Cowboys had a little bit of coming down to earth against the New Orleans Saints. The Kansas City Chiefs have been the Kansas City Chiefs for 2 weeks early, when everybody else has kind of looked like dog do. We're not saying the Chiefs have been world beaters, but they're 2-0, and that's the standard, and the Bengals have been most competitive against still the standard.
Yeah. The Browns side of it, what ought to give you some real cause for optimism as far as I'm concerned, is offensively, this looked more like vintage Stefanski. Now, some of that was the circumstances they were in. They weren't behind the sticks, both literally and figuratively, the way they were against Dallas. They kind of took the game to Jacksonville, even on that very first drive. Watson had the best start he's had as a Cleveland Brown in terms of the way that he started the football game. And he actually played better than his statistics would lead you to believe. There were 4 drops, including 2 from Amari Cooper, that he catches 10 times out of 10 in normal world. But one of the other things we saw was just a look of it, and part of it was they put a lot more motion into the offense to give Watson a clear picture of what the defense was doing. My hunch is you'll see more of that. Here's Stefanski on that.
I think it speaks to every game really calls for its own game plan, and sometimes you lean into certain personnels more than others, certain play types more than others, and Sometimes it's a shift game, sometimes it's a motion game, sometimes it's both. So really, we focus really on a week-to-week basis on those type of things. Yesterday we had a few more times with movement. Now, like I talked about earlier, we have to lock in when you are moving, because now you have the chance of having two people moving at the same time if you have a double shift per se. So it's certainly part of what we're doing. It's part of our attack, and it'll really just be a game-to-game decision.
Procedurally, they're a mess. Offensively, they have 24 penalties in 2 games. I think a lot of that is the offensive line coach change from Bill Callahan, and it was something that we talked about a lot. But he was such a devil in the details guy. He was one of those guys where your right foot needs to be at 45 degrees, not 46. That's how he did it. So there was an accountability in practice that I think was bleeding over.
And he could also pull it off because he was Bill Callahan, too.
Yeah,
like, you know that he's a great offensive line coach, so you should listen to him. Yeah.
He's on the very short list of the best offensive line coaches in the history of professional football. So that's gone, and I think that's showing up with the procedural stuff for them. Conversely, the Bengals are 0-2. Zach Taylor says there is a silver lining, though, in the loss. Here's Zach on that.
Standing in the locker room after the game, you can see the emotion with the guys, how much they poured onto that field and how much that game meant to them and how disappointed they were. And it's a strange thing to say, but that puts me in such a positive mindset going forward, like just where this team is at and how much they care, and to take that loss so personally, and guys, feel like, man, it was maybe my play when it's not. I mean, that's big picture. It's absolutely not. Guys play hard, and sometimes it won't go your way. And that's not going to change our process. And we want guys that care that much to where it affects them that way. And there's other guys that can lift them up. That's what I like about this team.
The good news is when you play KC, it's a measuring stick game for everybody in the league, like Reeser was saying. And now the Bengals have some confidence that they're further along on the measuring stick, but they also know how much further they need to get along to be better than the Chiefs, and that's valuable stuff. Whereas the Browns have played 2 opponents that I don't think have informed them quite as much of who they are.
The games are so different for Cleveland that I don't think Jacksonville is as bad as their talent isn't as bad as their record. They're a talented team. They got a good defensive front. Lawrence should be better than 14-30. Some of that is the way the Browns played. I think for Cincinnati, the key for them is that they are 0-2, but they know that Burrow played really well in the game on Sunday, and they don't have T. Higgins yet, and they haven't really unlocked Jamar Chase either. Go ahead, Reese.
I was just going to say both teams defensively are solid right now. I mean, it's the right time for both teams to be playing well defensively, and I do think regardless of I don't think much of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I didn't think much of Trevor Lawrence before they gave him the contract that they did, and now it's looking like it was just a bad business deal. I just think it's funny how Mahomes kind of broke everyone's brains with just making bad business decisions with quarterbacks because you have to get a guy that can beat that guy.
Yeah.
And there aren't many out there. There aren't many that will be available, in the next however many years Mahomes is still quarterbacking Kansas City. But defensively for both teams, I think that's something that you really, if that gets better for both the Bengals and the Browns, then you're really starting to feel good about mistakes that can be made offensively. Like, that's such a blanket that you can rely on just to feel safe. If you have drops for the Browns, if you're undisciplined for the Browns, or if Burrow, there's health issues, or if there's not pushing the ball down the field, you're able to rest your laurels on an 18-13 win or a close 26-25 loss against a team like the Chiefs.
Both of the defenses look like that. Obviously, the Browns defense has traveled and looks like it will, and looks like Cincinnati's is ready to go as well, despite some massive turnover on that side of things. Nate Davis coming up next, his perspective on the 2 Ohio teams and what we've seen from the league through the first couple of weeks. That's coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The only show where sports talk is eclipsed by food talk. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
Sherrod Brown says,
I'll work with anyone to protect Ohio.
But what Sherrod Brown does in D.C. has not protected Ohio women and children. Brown voted multiple times to allow transgender biological males to compete in girls' sports. Not only unfair, but risking injury to female athletes. Brown even introduced legislation to allow transgender biological men into girls' locker rooms. And Brown would allow puberty blockers, even sex change surgery for children. Worse, Brown introduced a law to force women's domestic violence shelters to accept transgender biological men, inflicting more trauma on abused women. So when Brown says,
I'll work with anyone to protect Ohio,
Sherrod Brown is not protecting Ohio women and children. In fact, he's endangering them. Ohio deserves better. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Hey, it's D. Miller. Guys, if you're only middle-aged but wondering why it seems harder to keep up, you're not alone. It could be low testosterone. Testosterone replacement therapy can help you get back to your best, but not just any TRT. See the provider specialist at Low T Center. They offer advanced, personalized treatments with over a decade of experience. At Low T Center, you'll start with a simple test and get your results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center. Reinventing men's healthcare.
Looking for your next Subaru? At Byers Airport Subaru, we give you options from start to finish. Browse and shop entirely online from the comfort of your home at columbussubaru.com or stop by and visit one of our friendly brand specialists just by the airport.
Right now, you can get the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester for 3.9% for up to 48 months.
Whether you prefer to click or come in, we've got you covered. Your journey starts at Byers Airport Subaru. Come see why it's better to buy at Byers.
Subject to credit approval. Financing offer term up to 48 months on 2025 Subaru Forester. Cannot be combined with any other incentive. See dealer for details. Offer ends 9/30/24.
Ready for the big game?
Yeah! The Fan Tailgate is back at the Ozone on Lane. Admission is free. Join us for food, fun, and music by the fabulous Johnson Brothers.
Sponsored by your Central Ohio Ford dealers.
Oh, yeah?
Hollywood Casino, Michelob Ultra, Jack Daniels, Pepsi, TNT Equipment, and Tito's Handmade Vodka.
It's game day at the Ozone on Lane. The Fan, Ohio's tailgating destination.
Ohio, ready for some quick mental health facts? Let's go. Nearly 2 million Ohioans live with a mental health condition. In the U.S., more than 50% of people will be diagnosed with a mental illness in their lifetime. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. So why are some of us still stigmatizing people living with a mental health condition when we know all of this? Let's listen to the facts and beat the stigma. Ohio, challenge what you know about mental health at beatthestigma.org.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Ready to turn your media passion into a high-octane career? Ohio Media School will train you for TV, radio, social media, and digital media. Dive into hands-on learning with their cutting-edge Activator curriculum. Gain real-world experience through internships and live remotes. And get insider knowledge from industry pros. Small class sizes, real-world media studios, and 6 to 8 month programs. They accelerate your career with personal attention and essential skills. Visit Ohio Media School at beonair.com to book your free studio tour.
With so much happening every day,
ABC6 News is on your side, helping you understand the events that impact your community.
Do you believe Columbus City Schools is in a PR crisis?
Central Ohio's most experienced team of reporters, persistent in getting answers to the questions you're asking.
Are you worried about how people are going to react?
And when you need us, ABC6 News is on your side, finding solutions.
6 on your side, they're the ones willing to answer the phone.
You can count on ABC6 News to be on your side.
You know how when you're living your life, and then all of a sudden you're out there helping cops solve crimes?
ABC Tonight.
I have an IQ of 160. I spot things detectives miss.
The series premiere of fall's most anticipated new drama, High Potential.
That big brain of hers is going to help us close out a lot of cases.
Caitlin Olsen is the new face of investigation.
You're a single mom pretending to be a cop. I am not pretending. I'm just out here super copping.
High Potential.
Tonight at 10 on ABC6.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time to head out on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Great friend of the program, Nate Davis, NFL at USA Today, joining us there. Week 2 in the books, my friend. Passing numbers down across the board. Just 5 300-yard passes for the first 2 weeks. Just 69 touchdown passes through the first 2 weeks, which is down from 110 and 21, 105 and 22. Is there anything you can draw from this, or just statistical anomaly?
Yeah, I mean, let's wait and see. I think I think it could be a combination of things, including the fact that we see so few starters and quarterbacks in particular play in the preseason. But though I've kind of been waiting for the pendulum to swing a little bit for some time, and I kind of thought that it would be Bill Belichick that would do it, and maybe it's Gerard Mayo. But when you're the league is in nickel formation 70% of the time, as it has been for a number of years. At some point, somebody's going to figure out the best way to attack that is to run the ball, and I think you're kind of seeing that more and more, and maybe the fact that's all kind of been defrayed amongst various backs. You're not necessarily seeing a bunch of guys rush for 150 yards. I think you are still seeing more commitment to the run and trying to make nickelbacks and dime safeties and all these other guys come in and tackle these guys and be physical, where it's been basketball and grass for so long. So long-winded answer, but I mean, I think at some point it was notable that teams would run against those light boxes.
I think you're exactly right. And the other thing that's happened, Nate, is some of these the size of linebackers, they've shrunk. Right, because they want them all to cover space and defend the pass, and so it's ripe for that. If you have the right team, I mean, I think of Kyle. Certainly, I know they lost this weekend at Minnesota, but that operation that he has, especially if he can get Mason to go in the way that he had in the first couple of weeks, that one would be one that you feel like could really road grade, right?
The 49ers could really road grade?
Yeah, the Niners, their situation,
Yeah, I mean, and you saw that against the Jets, in the opening night. I mean, generally renowned as one of the better defenses in the league. I mean, has some of its own issues, but yeah, he's a really physical back, kind of the perfect complement to McCaffrey. And I mean, I think it sounds kind of silly, but you could argue that the team that was probably game planning for McCaffrey and what he can do, and he's underrated as a between the tackles runner himself, but he's going to have more lateral stuff going on than Jordan Mason, and then you might not be ready for that kind of approach. The Jets themselves might benefit with what we saw from Braylon Allen and what he can do as a compliment to Bryce Hall. But yeah, keep kind of an eye on these tandems and the way that the league might trend bigger picture if this keeps up.
Nate, you mentioned McCaffrey, his old team with the benching of Bryce Young, and probably not much choice. He obviously seems pretty lost. That circumstance he was drafted into among the worst in recent league memory. When you think about what the decisions that organization has made the last 2 or 3 years, how far did they set it back?
I mean, I think my power rankings went out this morning, and I had to drop the Panthers from 31 back down to 32, which right. I imagine they may not actually stay there a while. But I mean, it could be something where Andy Dalton gives them a breath of life. But what is that really worth in the end? I mean, it kind of reminds you. I think I jokingly said that Joe Flacco came off his couch there in Cleveland. Maybe Andy Dalton turns in his clipboard there in Carolina 2 years under than Flacco and gives them some life, but. He's not the long-term answer. Dave Canales, said that he looked at the tape and kind of decided it was best for the greater good to make the switch. But, the owner there is infamous for being impatient. What they're telling us is that the decision went all the way up to ownership, being consulted and all that. But you hit the nail on the head. I mean, they want to win right away. So does everybody in this league. But I don't think they're really going about that approach in the proper way, and they still owe the Bears a second-round pick next year as part of that trade to get Bryce Young. So they haven't even paid off the debt yet, and they're possibly resetting their quarterback from square one next year.
Yeah, it's absolutely not. Talking to the great Nate Davis, NFL writer, USA Today. His power rankings out today. Hey, how did you view? Let's do the 2 Ohio teams. What do you make of the Browns 2 weekend to start? Hammered in week 1 against Dallas, and then a very different performance down in Jacksonville.
I was more hopeful about the Browns probably 3 or 4 months ago than I think I am now. I mean, it still doesn't feel to me like the Deshaun Watson issue has been solved, and then now you're adding in another aspect with off the field stuff. with him. Certainly it was concerning seeing what happens to the defense against Dallas the week before. And you really think that this is probably a team that's got to win with defense being its backbone. So I'm not real encouraged by what I'm seeing in Cleveland. Cincinnati, I still probably have more. I think they've still got the higher ceiling. And clearly 0-2 starts are not new to them, and you have to be encouraged by how they played at Kansas City last week. I am concerned about the Jamar Chase situation because it just seems like he's becoming more and more unhappy the longer this goes on. And it doesn't seem like that's going to get resolved. And I'm sure there's some precedent there where Mike Brown doesn't want to be the owner that pays a wide receiver a massive sum of money after 3 years of his contract as opposed to 4, the way Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb were. But I wonder if at some point there's going to be a carryover effect with that situation to the rest of the team. But if they can get it figured out, T. Higgins gets back on the field, I still think they could be the best team in the division. But I think they've also maybe got the most potential to be the one that spins off the rails too.
Nate, you're the only other guy I've heard talk about the Chase stuff. When he said that after that week 1 where he said, they told me they'd redo the deal, when he said that on that Friday, I took note, like, wow, if that was communicated to him or his people or his belief was that was going to be done and now he feels like he was undercut by them, that's noteworthy, man. And you can see it. He's salty, and I agree with you. I think that one's very, very real. The other one I want to ask you about was Baltimore. Up big, fourth quarter, 9.5-point favorites in the game. A lot of people had them really high, and you may still have them high. But one of the things that I've brought up several times is, look, they lost a dude at all 3 levels of their defense, and they lost a defensive coordinator. And so Derrick Henry and all of that is nice window dressing, but they had some major rebuilding to do on the defensive side. Is there cause for concern for the 0-2 Ravens?
Yeah, I don't know why you always have me on this show, Bo, because you and I usually seem like we share the same brain. I mean, I thought that the Derrick Henry thing, kind of overshadowed everything that happened there this offseason. But, I mean, you hit it. I mean, Mike McDonald's gone. They lost a lot of guys on defense. Tragic situation on the offensive line to not only lose 3 starters, but then to suddenly lose your offensive line coach who suddenly dies in August. And that's been, a problem that's apparent. But, the thing that, people in Cleveland, I think, can appreciate that I kind of pointed to immediately with Derrick Henry is I just don't know that he's a guy whose style really dovetails with Lamar Jackson's. I mean, it's kind of what you've seen with Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, where you got a back that wants to line up deep and take that deep handoff and get ahead of steam. And you want a quarterback that wants to be in the pistol and hand it off to him laterally and then make a decision from there. And I just don't know that that's ultimately going to work. I mean, I think maybe the best trait that Derrick Henry might have is opening up more room for Lamar Jackson to run. I don't know that that's going to translate to a 1,500-yard season from Derrick Henry. And I'm just not sure that ultimately I think this year's team is probably not going to be as good as last year's team, and that's already playing out.
And in short, sir, the reason we have you on is because I think you're one of the smartest people in the NFL. And so if one of the smartest people who write about the NFL also says that maybe I'm a little smart, it makes me feel good on a Tuesday, buddy. That's it. So I greatly thank you for your time and giving us a little bit of it today.
Hey, even if it's our own little echo chamber, I'll take it. So.
Well, I'll take it, buddy. Great stuff as always. Look forward to checking out your power rankings here momentarily. Nate Davis, NFL writer, USA Today on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We hit a little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you consider yourself a Buckeye fan, you've come to the right place. This is your heritage sports talker and home of Ohio State Athletics, The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
At Kroger Pharmacy, CARE is making it easy to get vaccinated. CARE is helping you stay protected from flu, COVID, and RSV. Seasonal vaccines are available 7 days a week with evening hours. CARE is giving you a shot at staying healthy this season. Walk in whenever is best and get multiple vaccines in one visit at your local Kroger Pharmacy. So come and get the protection you need while protecting those around you. Kroger Health, a world of care is in store. Visit Kroger.com/vaccines for more. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See site for details.
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. Fall is here. It's still warm and dry and everything's brown. But yay, fall. Maybe after your summer road trips, you've realized your vehicle sucks. My friends at Jermaine Lexus want to help. Right now, they have special APRs as low as 2.99% on their most popular models like the ES and RX, or lease payments starting as low as $4.99 a month. My friends at Jermaine are the best in the business. If you're in the market, please stop in. 2 locations to serve you, Dublin and Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Get Eco. Hey, Aaron. Hey, Jerry. Have we spent enough time telling homeowners how much the name Eco can actually mean? Well, I did name the company that, so yes. I mean explaining that Eco can stand for how much better we can make your plumbing, ecologically speaking. Get Eco. ECO. A tankless water heater, for example. Switching to tankless means your family has unlimited hot water. Shower after shower after shower, without having to use precious electricity to keep a big tank of water hot 24 hours a day. It's ecological. Pretty good wordplay for a guy that almost failed English, don't you think? Get Eco. ECO. I think if more people knew they could help the planet just by taking a shower, I think we might be onto something. That's not quite as ecological as the first thing you said, but okay. You know, I'm working on inventing a new kind of junk mail that throws itself away. And the planet thanks you, Jerry. Get Eco. ECO. Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians. GetEco.com.
Friday nights mean high school football. Join us for the fans' high school game of the week.
This week, Dublin Jerome at Olin Tangi Liberty.
Live coverage starts Friday night at 6:30. Your home for Friday Night Lights. The Fan.
Heaven on earth. It's here in the mountain towns of West Virginia. Draped in vibrant reds, yellows, and oranges. Some of America's most spectacular fall colors. The perfect backdrop to autumn adventure. From scenic train rides to fall festivals. And a cozy cabin waiting at the end of the day. Fall is almost heaven in West Virginia. Plan your getaway at wvtourism.com.
You know that thing you've always been too scared to go for? It seems like you'll never have the guts. Then a cancer diagnosis. And doing that thing becomes way less scary. I would know. I've always wanted a black belt. And today, the only thing standing in my way is a few wooden boards. It's been a lot of hard work and 5 years since I beat cancer at Ohio Health. Bring it on. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keepmakingplans to learn more.
My name is Marsha Blanks, and I live here in Cleveland, Ohio. Like a lot of African Americans, diabetes runs in our family. I have diabetes, and my husband has diabetes. His was worse than mine, and we made the decision that he would go on the insulin and I would not. It was too expensive. The drug companies are making a fortune. Nothing changed with the formulas, so why was it becoming so expensive? When I heard that Sherrod Brown had capped insulin at $35, it meant that I could now take insulin and control my diabetes even better. It was a godsend. I'm feeling better. I'm losing weight. Sherrod, he stood up to the drug companies, and he actually won. And that showed me that he cared about us. I am 66 years old, and I do not plan on slowing down. And that's thanks to Sherrod, because I got the medicine I needed.
I'm Sherrod Brown, running for Senate. I approve this message.
Paid for by friends of Sherrod Brown.
It's almost Football Friday. All play and no work.
Sponsored by Tansky Sawmill Toyota.
Your home for football, The Fan. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
Pete Thamel with this write-up. Air Force has emerged as a serious target to be added to the American Athletic Conference, sources told ESPN on Monday. Air Force has been referenced in conversations as a potential AAC ad in recent months prior to the Pac-12 taking 4 Mountain West Conference schools last week. The AAC released a statement Monday night saying the league, quote, is a pioneering brand firmly grounded in grit and hard work with powerful and prestigious member institutions. In the past 5 months, we have prioritized seizing every opportunity that enhances value for our member institutions and student athletes. Whether through private capital, naming rights, innovative partnerships, or realignment, we have proactively assessed each opportunity and are prepared to collaboratively take action steps to be at the forefront of success and sustainability. And of the quoted part of that statement there, as we know, Navy and Army already in the American. Thing or not a thing?
Well, that's the part why it makes the most sense, because now that'll be conference games. Those were forever out of conference. Now those will all be conference games between Army, Navy, and Air Force. Navy, I think, joined the AAC, was it last year or the year before, but just recently. Army's been in there for a little while. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I think what's also an interesting kind of ripple effect of this is this obviously is the folks getting off the Titanic in regard to the Mountain West, which was a kind of a fun, cool conference for a while, but with who do they have? Right now, who do they lose? They lose Friends of the State, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State. Those are all going to the Pac-12. My hunch is
UNLV lose Air Force too. Yeah,
UNLV, San Jose State would be in the mix to go to the Pac-12 as well. So then, what happened? Maybe New Mexico. So what happens with Utah State, Nevada, Wyoming? Like, where do those programs land? And I do wonder if those programs would follow to the American, or would they try to get into Conference USA, or in the case of, for example, Wyoming, would it make more sense for them to go actually down to FCS and play Montana State, North Dakota State, South Dakota, Idaho State, and have like a chance to win a title? Wyoming was a really good program for a while as a relative outpost. Laramie's an outpost, kids. Trust me. That's also the ripple of all of this, is what happens to all those schools. Because you look at like the Conference USA. I mean, you look at the footprint on that. Go look at the footprint on the American. These conferences make no damn sense.
At least they're named correctly.
Yeah, I mean, no sense.
No, and so, yeah, that's a good point with Wyoming. Why would you want to then put extra travel on you to just go be a part of a random group of 5 conference that doesn't have anything to it anyways? Like, it's not going to make your program improve all that much.
My assumption would be that they would try to get into Conference USA. So that's Liberty, Western Kentucky, Sam Houston State, La Tech, Florida International, Jacksonville State, Kennesaw. Those are all southern-ish places. But then randomly they have UTEP and New Mexico State. So I don't know what. It's a mess. It's a total mess.
Yeah, this is the thing in that I'm excited to see what happens next. Like, I'm excited to see which schools in the artist formerly known as the Mountain, because this won't happen, those 4 schools going into the Pac-12 until 2020, is it the 26, 27 academic calendar?
Something like, yeah, it's at least a couple years away.
Because we still haven't seen, and we won't until January 21st, probably at the earliest, what's going to happen with any of the group of 5 schools, or what the hell's going to happen in college football, which is the driver in all of this after this expanded playoff wraps up.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing, and it's going to continue to be a thing for like another decade. CBS Sports had this morning. Bengals Chiefs this past Sunday delivered the most watched NFL on CBS September game since 1998, with nearly 28 million viewers, 27.868. That's up 8% against games week 2 last year. Sunday's national game is the most watched telecast on a single network since the Super Bowl. Thing or not a thing?
Obviously a huge thing. There's so many factors into that matchup. Obviously, 2 really great teams that everybody's very familiar with. Star power, all that you could ever want, not just on the field, but in the luxury suites as well. So it checks every single box that you'd want to check. And this is why the NFL can do what it wants to do. I mean, 28 million at 4 o'clock on a Sunday with other things competing against it from the same league. It's wild popularity.
Yeah, obviously it's helped out by the game actually itself being good, but going into, so when you get that combination of an exciting matchup, and then the game itself is actually good, that really starts to, I think, balloon that number. And the 4 o'clock window is perfect for it, because most people trail right from 1 into the 4 o'clock games, whereas Sunday Night Football you might get to a little bit late, you might not get to it all, whatever happens, you might have something going on Sunday night. I think that 4 o'clock window, the NFL has really liked what they've gotten out of that recently. And these numbers, like almost 28 million. I'm curious, like normal TV shows, how many episodes, if you just add up the viewers, because obviously there's repeat viewers, does it take to get to 28 million views? of your show live, you know? Whereas the NFL just gets in for 3 hours roughly on average for just a game on Sunday. And this is just a regular season game. It's a great matchup, but it's just a game.
I don't even know what, like, the number one show on television is anymore. I don't know what that would be. I mean, like, for a while, Yellowstone was that. They was get like 14, 15 million, but I don't even know. Like, broadcasts.
What are the ratings of, like, the CSIs and the...
Yeah, those used to all be
Chicago Fire and stuff like that, yeah.
I have no idea what those are going to be.
This from the AP. Mississippi coach Lane Kiffin says Wake Forest violated, quote, an unwritten rule by buying its way out of next year's matchup, leaving the Rebels in search of another major conference opponent. The fifth-ranked Rebels defeated the Demon Deacons 40-6 on Saturday in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as part of a scheduled home-and-home series. There won't be a rematch next season in Oxford, Mississippi, though. A person with knowledge of the decision confirmed that Wake Forest had canceled next year's trip to Ole Miss and said the school is closing in on alternative scheduling options. They spoke to the Associated Press with the condition of anonymity because the school isn't commenting publicly on the details. Kiffin broke the news about the decision in his post-game news conference Saturday and was still unhappy about the timing. 2 days later, Kiffin said Monday, quote, "That's rarely ever done. I've never really heard of doing it, and it really puts us at a big disadvantage. It is what it is. It obviously wasn't appreciated very much, them putting us in that situation. Now we've got to find somebody, and most people are all scheduled up. And even when you find somebody, you've got to pay them. It's kind of an unwritten rule not to do that, actually." End quote. Thing or not a thing?
He's right. You don't play one of the games and then cancel the other one. It's one thing to cancel the whole series. Fine. Cancel the whole series. That's fine. We'll do that. You don't play one game and then cancel the return trip. That does put him in a bind. If I were Kiffin, I would call Oregon State and Washington State and see if one of them would want to play you. My guess is one of them would, if you're looking for, a quality opponent that is not Power 2, but certainly adjacent. That's probably would be my thing. But I think he's right. I think he's got real beef here. I think it's appropriate.
Well, and they're going to have to possibly seek a waiver from the conference because while they're still at 4 out-of-conference games, remember only 8 SEC games a year right now, they are required to play a Power 4 school as one of their out-of-conferences. And this was what was on the docket for them next year. So they either have to get a waiver from the conference or find another one, yeah.
Yeah, it's Oregon State, Washington State. Call them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, for the Rebels, that's a home game. That's just like, oh, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Without, right now, I mean, a year less to figure everything out for the game itself. But, yeah, that I can see what at first when I heard that, I was like, what's the big deal? But I'm like, yeah, logistically, that becomes a nightmare.
Yeah, it's not canceling
before we come to your place.
Yeah, it's not canceling a 2029 date. It's next year.
And we've already played this one. So that it's a bad job out of Wake. We'll blitz the NFL coming up next. Final hour, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
Direct auto insurance is for uncompromisers. Like Matt. When his old car insurance got so expensive, do you think he walked until his sneakers wore out? No, because he found savings with Direct Auto so he could drive instead of compromise. With savings of up to 25% on state minimum coverage, you too can stop compromising and keep driving. Get a free quote at directauto.com or a store near you. Savings vary, terms apply. National General Group, Winston-Salem.
Hey, it's Anthony Rothman for the Bath Authority. It's time to make your bath and shower something you really love. Something so great, your singing in the shower comes from a genuine place of happiness. Don't keep staring at that outdated bath, the mold, the mildew, the broken tiles. Every unit from the Bath Authority is custom built. You choose the premium accents and accessories. Right now, get free installation on your new bath or shower, plus 36 months of 0% interest. Visit thebathauthority.com. That's thebathauthority.com. A better bath awaits.
Starting this fall, you can turn your media passion into a high-octane career. Ohio Media School will train you for TV, radio, social media, and digital media. Get real-world experience and hands-on learning with their cutting-edge Activator curriculum through internships and live remotes with industry pros, small class sizes, and real-world media studios. Accelerate your career with their 6 to 8 month programs. Visit Ohio Media School now at beonair.com to book your free studio tour. That's right, free. Go to beonair.com now and seize your media future with Ohio Media School.
Hey, it's Anthony Rothman. Guys, if you're only middle-aged but wondering why it seems harder to keep up, you're not alone. It may be caused by low testosterone. Testosterone replacement therapy can help you get back to your best, but not just any TRT. See the provider specialists at Low T Center. They offer advanced, personalized treatments with over a decade of experience. At Low T Center, you'll start with a simple test and get your results in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
You can use your phone at a doctor's office. You can use your phone at a football game. You can even use your phone at an amusement park. But one place you should never use your phone is behind the wheel. Fines now start at $150. So remember, Ohio, phones down. It's the law.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play. Like Bear Dynasty interior paint, their most durable one-coat hide paint ever. From a team color statement wall to a fan cave, complete with a mural honoring Nick Saban's 17-year dynasty.
Hey, I like that idea.
Nothing beats Bear Dynasty interior paint. It's everything you need all in one can.
Defend your game time with Bear and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Valid only when tended to colors from the Bear Dynasty and Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Color Collection.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Number 3 Ohio State hosts Marshall this Saturday at noon. It's the second all-time meeting between the two schools. Buckeyes are more than 5 touchdown favorites in this one. Ohio State's head coach Ryan Day is scheduled to speak at the media at noon today. We'll carry those comments live on The Fan when he hits the podium. Buckeyes are at Michigan State next Saturday. That game will be a 7 p.m. kick. In the NFL, Week 2 wrapped up last night in Philly with the Falcons beating the Eagles 22-21. The Browns are back home Sunday versus the Giants, while the Bengals host the Commanders next Monday night. In baseball, the Guardians increased their lead in the AL Central to 5 games over the Royals. Cleveland beat Minnesota last night 4-3. Both teams go again tonight at 6:45. Including Tuesday's game, Guardians have 11 contests left in the regular season. This update is sponsored by Valley Ford of Columbus. From F-150 to F-750, Valley Ford of Columbus is Ohio's commercial truck headquarters.
The best hair on the air. You were listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Tuesday edition of the program. Ari Wasserman on 3 going to join us coming up at 11:33 on 3 weeks in to the college football season. You have that to look forward to, which is very, very nice. Between then and now, we blitz the NFL. Hit it, boys.
Bishop and Friends present NFL Blitz.
All right, there is an opportunity here among one of us to do something great. And that someone is Reese. You went 11-5 picking the NFL. You are 22-10 through 2 weeks. What this sets the table for is an ability to chase history. You can now lap the field and be the greatest NFL by the number prognosticator on the season. In order to do that, you had to start fast. Last year, I believe I was that. Last year, I went 14-2 week 1. And so that set the table for it because now you can view things a little bit differently, buddy. Are you ready to run with this mantle?
I am like Kevin Stefanski is descripting opening drive plays. Picking NFL games, there is nobody better. I will put your bookie's children into the poorhouse. We're working on with the top men here at Tegna a toll-free line. You can call in. I'll give you my picks for the week. They'll click. I'll crush them. I'll crush everybody. I'll make your
kids through college.
I'll make your bookie say, stop listening to that radio program. Stop watching that YouTube thing. That's how good it's been. for 2 weeks.
You're killing it.
This is going to be the most epic collapse in the history of people picking games on the radio.
No.
Bo, for last year, I have you at least 9 weeks of double-digit victories in the NFL.
Last year?
Yeah.
This year ain't last year. That's what we know. 16-16 overall. So I got to 500 2 weeks in. But that's what you have to do. You got to be double-digit wins. And so good job for you getting it started that way. All right. I believe I had that. Reese, you had a lot. What jumps out most?
So as Kevin Stefanski is the world champion of scripting opening drives, Josh Allen's great on Thursday night. And I said last year I didn't know if he would be the guy that could bring Buffalo over that mountaintop. If they played every game on Thursday, Josh Allen's a champion of the universe. But I had the Bills minus the 2.5. If they can build off of that, and the Dolphins, unfortunately, with what happened with Tua, with the slowish start that the Jets are getting off to, like it looks to be like they could have it wrapped up. This will be a hot one by the end of the month.
By the end of October, certainly. September would be really quick. End of October, potentially. He doesn't lose on Thursday, and he does not lose to Miami. Chops, what did you have?
Now, we were talking about this going into the season because it was concerning how the Eagles ended the season on a 1-5 run there at the end of the 2023 regular season, and then they come in, they get a nice win against what looks like a pretty good Packers team. Yep. Then they go out and do what they did last night, where it also feels like, shooting yourself in the foot with the play call and everything with Saquon Barkley. I understand if you get it, then all is forgotten, but you didn't get it. So that's why it's being critiqued on this day. And, I think that the Eagles have really kind of completed that they are a step back from where they were when they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and I don't think there's any way to deny it.
No, I think that's true as well. I believe I had that Jim Harbaugh would have an immediate impact on the LA Chargers. Is it a big deal that they whipped Carolina? No, everybody's going to whip Carolina. But they are 2-0. They are doing so with J.K. Dobbins running the football, Gus Edwards complimenting them, Justin Herbert making clutch throws, and they're living on their defense. He is a good game coach. People buy into what he's doing. That part can't be argued. It was easy to pick them to cover the first 2 weeks. Be a little bit more of a challenge this week. We'll see when we get to the picks on Thursday. But I believe I had that Harbaugh would have that immediate impact, and he has. I didn't have what? What didn't you have, Reese?
It was last night on the Lincoln Financial Field. The Philadelphia Eagles turned into the Atlanta Falcons. And whereas the Philadelphia Eagles went like 10-1 to start last season, they're like 2-7 since. I did not have this collapse by the Eagles, and I certainly didn't have them last night minus the 5.5. Just run the ball.
A little bit of, I don't know if it's figuring out Jalen a little bit or what it is, but it's been sobering what they've been after that quick start last year. Chops, what didn't you have?
I'll get to that. Like when you're talking about that, with Jalen, like, is he as good? Like, why not just run the tush push twice on 3rd and 3?
I don't know if they can do it anymore without Kelsey.
Yeah, they ran it once successfully on a 3rd and 1 in the game. I saw that, but I don't know. You're right. It is a little more nerve wracking when they line up. It doesn't feel as automatic right now. I didn't have that. The Saints are good, apparently. I don't know what to do. I mean, they beat Carolina, and that was like, oh, well, that's good job out of the Saints, but everybody's going to beat Carolina. Then they do what they did against the Cowboys and win 44-19. We saw what the Cowboys were able to do week 1 against the Browns. And even, the Browns, while their offense may still have some questions and getting Deshaun Watson get to it, their defense is still good. And Dallas put up a lot of points on them. And no, the Saints shut them down and put up 44. So they're definitely, like, now my driver's seat for the NFC South. They've looked good through 2 weeks, and I did not see that coming.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's looked good down there, too. Both of those teams have looked better than I thought that they were. My biggest misses, though, are both in part due to injury. Miami, now this injury to Tua. You can't project injury, obviously, but now very changes the way I view them. I had them winning the AFC East. My biggest miss, though, and I think it's going to be finite, is the L.A. Rams. I had them making the postseason. They are battered. Kupp out for weeks. Nakua out for weeks. They were down 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen to start the year. Slumped at Arizona. I didn't have that either. They are going nowhere. This is going to be a long season. It's going to be one of those can't get right seasons for the LA Rams. It's just too much bad stuff happening early on this year for them. Player who impressed you the most this weekend, Reese, what'd you got?
J.K. Dobbins, $131, a touchdown, 17 carries. It's great to see him healthy. It's great to see him be their bell cow. Yeah. And the Chargers, that's a really good team. And, I mean, I gotta have to find it, but maybe this, because I didn't want to do it because of Jim Harbaugh, but I might have to.
Chargers, go. Go Chargers,
go. A minute.
I have to.
Player who impressed the most for me. Now, this comes in a loss, but when you see the number for Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions, 4.5 sacks against Baker Mayfield, how do you then not win that game? But either way, Aiden Hutchinson had a great game for the Lions, and he had already arrived, but yeah, that was well worth the number 2 overall pick.
It certainly was. Player who impressed the most for me, Derek Carr. His quarterback rating through 2 weeks, 142.4. He's 96.2 in QBR. He's completing 77% of his passes. It's all layups for him. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. I thought they could off-road to Tank. No. Lights out for him early on this season. Very impressive. Player who disappointed, Reese. Who do you got?
As a Browns fan, I'm disappointed with Amari Cooper, but I think Kellen Moore just needs to hear this again. Run the ball, dude.
Yeah.
No, he's too interested in scoring points. At least that's what McCarthy was worried about. Player disappointed the most, Bo. You just talked about the QB rating there for Derek Carr. Can I interest you in Bryce Young's QBR? This is the one out of 100 for ESPN, but it's 8.9, one of the lowest ever since they started doing this. One was an early year in Stafford's career, and actually, ironically, another one was Andy Dalton, who is now replacing him. But Caleb Williams is the next closest of active quarterbacks who have qualified this year at 23.9. So he's basically 4 times behind the next lowest guy. If you can look at quarterback rating that way, it's out of 100. It kind of is that way, but it has just been a disaster for him in Carolina.
Yeah, for me, Caleb Williams, most disappointing. I think some of it's on him, some of it's on the situation. I really liked Eberflus, and I understand why they kept him watching Hard Knocks, but I always had concerns about just what they did offensively to Justin, and then would that continue? And it looks like it is. Caleb has been completely average. Their offense has been completely average. They've been a pretty disappointing team in terms of they're 1-1, but the way they're going about their business leaves a lot to be desired. Bud Kilmer, honorary coach of the week. Reese, who do you got?
It's that damn Mike Tomlin. They don't have a ton of talent offensively, but they had 0 turnovers through 2 weeks, and he's got them 2-0 somehow. I know. I'm trying to see who they're playing this week, but it's like they're going to win a ton of games like this. They've got
don't they play the Chargers?
Absolutely.
Go Chargers, go.
But Mike Tomlin through 2 weeks, that's pretty good stuff, man.
To remember the name Jonathan Gannon, I had to remember, when he came into the Cardinals facility the first time, he went up to, was it still DeAndre Hopkins there, right? Or whoever it was.
Awkward.
And he was like, weapons, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But I am going to give him the honorary coach of the week because you know what? He's living by his mantra. Week 1, not so stellar for the star rookie. This week they say, get the ball to Marvin. You learned, hey, you can win games, even if you're the Cardinals, if you get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. So credit to him because they did. He had 2 touchdowns in the game. But Jonathan Gannon maybe does have something rolling with Arizona.
Marv had 2 touchdowns on 140 yards at the end of the first quarter in that game. Then they just
and then it was over, yeah.
Then it was over. You mentioned Tomlin. I'm going to mention Matt LaFleur. When you have great coaching, you can overcome things and find a way to win. The Steelers are doing that as with what they're doing offensively because their defense is so good. To get Malik Willis capable of winning a football game, who's probably one of the more incapable backups. He completed it was all dink and duck. It was all short, but they ran it with him, and they gutted out a win against Indy. That's what you had to do to stay afloat. So I go Matt LaFleur with it. I want to give an honorable mention, though, too, to a guy I know a little bit, Drew Petzing, who's the offensive coordinator of Arizona. That is a dude who grinded in Cleveland and grinded and worked his way up, and he called a hell of a game and has called 2 really good games for Arizona and Kyler Murray in the 2 games they've had to start the season. Your top 3 teams right now, Reese. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Chiefs, Bills, Niners.
I want the Niners to still be in there, but I'm gonna honor the loss. I have been really impressed with the Saints, so I'm gonna go Chiefs, Saints, Vikings because they beat the Niners. They get credit for it.
I'm going to go Chiefs. Although, and here's the thing with the Chiefs, it's just the Mahomes thing. It's not like they've been lights out. It's just who's going to beat him. Yeah, the answer tends to be nobody. Like, it's not like they've been impressive more than, kind of their level of impressive. So I'm going to go Kansas City. I'm going to go Buffalo 2. And I'm going to go Houston 3 with honorable mentions to New Orleans and Tampa Bay for the way that those two teams have started the season. I'm going to go all AFC, KC, Buffalo, and Houston to start it with your top 3. All right, coming up next, we have a kick time and a location for your Buckeye Big Ten opener. You're not going to like it. We get to it coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Winners of the prestigious Platinum Microphone Award every year, given to the best radio station in the world. No need to look it up. It's real. The Fan.
Sherrod Brown says,
I'll work with anyone to protect Ohio.
But what Sherrod Brown does in D.C. has not protected Ohio women and children. Brown voted multiple times to allow transgender biological males to compete in girls' sports. Not only unfair, but risking injury to female athletes. Brown even introduced legislation to allow transgender biological men into girls' locker rooms. And Brown would allow puberty blockers, even sex change surgery for children. Worse, Brown introduced a law to force women's domestic violence shelters to accept transgender biological men, inflicting more trauma on abused women. So when Brown says,
I'll work with anyone to protect Ohio,
Sherrod Brown is not protecting Ohio women and children. In fact, he's endangering them. Ohio deserves better. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here from my friends at High Bank Distillery Co., located right here in Columbus. Introducing their newest product, 614 Vodka, Ohio's house vodka. Perfect to make a drink at home or try when you're out at your favorite local restaurant. Learn more at 614vodka.com.
Excuse me, waiter. There's a hair in my soup. A long purple hair.
I'm so sorry. I'll get the manager.
I'm the manager. How can I help?
Wait, weren't you the Plum Insurance mascot?
What gave it away? My long purple fur?
Something like that.
What if all insurance companies were like NJM and were known for putting their policyholders first, not gimmicks? Then all those insurance mascots would have to get real jobs.
I'll pass on dessert.
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Ready for a new ride? Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
Buckeyes are back at the shoe for a battle with Marshall.
Live fan coverage starts Saturday morning at 6:30 with the Kick at Noon.
Every game, every season. Your flagship home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
We are Ortho Alliance. Together, we deliver the most experienced orthopedic care near you and throughout Central Ohio. Together, we provide expert care when you need it with same-day and next-day appointments. We put our patients' care first, from physical therapy to the most challenging joint replacement surgeries. We are JIS Orthopedics, Ortho Neuro, Orthopedic Associates of Zanesville, Orthopedic Foot and Ankle Center, and Orthopedic Specialists in Sports Medicine. And we are better together. Visit orthoalliance.com or call 877-WE-ARE-OA.
Create a safe sleep environment for your baby by using the ABCs of safe sleep. Babies are safest alone on their backs in an empty crib. Always place your baby on his or her back while sleeping, and be sure to use a firm sleep surface. Remember, room sharing without bed sharing is safest. For more information, visit childrenandyouth.ohio.gov/infant-safe-sleep.
Have you lost Ohio Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Mostly cloudy sky out there today. Highs in the low 80s. Partly the mostly cloudy tonight. Low around 63. If the clouds do clear for a bit, check out that full supermoon tonight. It should be really pretty. It'll appear 7% bigger and 15% brighter. Tomorrow looks like a nice day. Clearing skies. Highs in the low 80s. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
And just keep it locked right here on the Fan all day long. Ryan Day's press conference coming up at noon. Tyvus going to join Rothman and Ice coming up at 1:33. Then Man and Bone, 3:48. Inside the NFL. And then Tim and Tyvus close the night 6 to 8 on the Buckeye Show. When is the last time either of you walked into a Lowe's or a Home Depot?
Wouldn't have been that long ago. What did I have to buy? I had to buy an extension cord for when we were setting up the projector just a couple weeks ago. So it hasn't been that long, actually, for me.
And July, I had to replace some blinds.
So we got like a local hardware store that I try to support when I can. So that's usually the first place I go. But then if they don't have, then I go to one of those two. I'm a Lowe's guy. Just how it worked out. I don't know what it is, but I've always leaned towards that. It might just be because I like Jimmy Johnson a lot better than Tony Stewart when I covered NASCAR. Now that I think about it, Jimmy's just a better guy.
Menards up there because I like Menards.
I've never watched. The only thing about Menards, usually there's Tesla superchargers near a Menards.
Okay,
so they're around those quite a bit. So that's how I've stumbled into some of those. But no, I usually am a Lowe's guy. So I took Bootsy in this past weekend. We were doing the landscape project. They have, and I don't know who the audience for this is, but I'm not kidding you guys, like probably 25-foot tall, giant, scary monsters. I'm not talking about the skeletons.
Just more than the skeletons?
Oh, the skeletons are baby stuff.
Wow.
Alongside of these things. Oh, the skeleton is nothing compared to this. Like giant Grim Reapers, giant werewolves, like 20 feet tall.
Are they?
I'm not.
Do they move at all? Do they make any noise?
Yes, they're animatronic. You press a button and then they yell at you. It's nuts. It's nightmare fuel. So we walk in. Bootsy goes, "Oh God!" And I go, "Jeez!" And he was like taken aback. They have like the crazy clown one. That's real. That one creepy clown that LeBron was one year for Halloween. I don't know what movie it's from. Pennywise, maybe.
Yeah, is it Pennywise? Okay, did he have a red balloon and a big red hair? Yeah, that's Pennywise.
Yeah, this guy was probably, and he's like 10 feet tall. So it's like werewolves and ghouls and headless things and gore and blood. Like as soon as you walk in, I was just like, good Lord, man, don't look. So Bootsy goes, he looks up and he goes, "Oh, there's Bluey." And little Bluey was way up on the top shelf, like 50 feet in the air, was a little animatronic Bluey up there. I almost wanted to get it. I'm like, I got to get Bluey. I feel bad for Bluey, just surrounded by ghouls everywhere and gore.
You need to get one of the scary ones and just put it in your basement and don't say anything,
dude.
Just put it there.
It wouldn't
fit, right?
I don't know where people store these things.
Well, obviously,
it's 20 feet tall.
It's like bigger than your, like a reusable Christmas tree, right? It's like bigger than that. Like even once you take it apart, my guess is that it doesn't have as much bulk as it might look to. A lot of them have like clothes on and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's probably just a bunch of piping that goes through. But still, yeah, it's a ridiculously large size for a decoration.
Terrifying. It is terrifying. I'll just tell you that. It was absolutely terrifying to be able to see it. Much as it will be terrifying for you in late September. Go ahead, Reese. You have a quick one.
I was just going to ask what it would cost, like for your electric bill to power this animatronic things. Or do any of them get to that level?
They only move if you hit the button, from what I can tell.
Okay. So they're not just like constantly moving.
Yeah.
Just 30 AA batteries.
Yeah. I don't know. It's terrifying. As I was saying, about as terrifying as it would be if you have an older parent who does not yet have Peacock, and they realize on September 28th that the only way to watch Ohio State will be on Peacock at 7 o'clock.
Peacock.
There you go. this is what the money's for, is the simplest thing. And what all of these streamers have figured out, and Amazon does it every single Thursday night, is the only thing that is absolutely known is that sports fans will find what they want to watch. And so I don't think that there's a coincidence that this game is on Peacock. I don't think there's a coincidence the Big Ten opener. I don't think it's a coincidence at 7 o'clock. This is one that absolutely NBC would take in their prime time. They would love to have this. The Buckeyes in prime time? Yeah, for sure. But instead, it's on Peacock because this also coincides with a Peacock bump in the charge coming out of the Olympics. Mm-hmm. That's coming too. So this is how it goes. It sucks that Ohio State is a pawn in all of this and that you are the ones who suffer if you don't already have Peacock. But it's just the reality of where we are in the sport that at this point, the only known things are the NFL and college football. And so you're going to continue to be leveraged. I was curious what the Fox or so the game is in primetime on NBC. Those have not been assigned yet. I was looking at the Big Ten schedule. Yeah, there's nothing better. I mean, the rest of the Big Ten.
Does Notre Dame play late for some reason? Is that a possibility too?
Minnesota plays Michigan that week. Wisconsin, USC is that week. Right now, the ranked is Illinois, Penn State is that week. Oregon and UCLA is that week. The only one scheduled for sure is Fox at 8 o'clock is Washington and Rutgers. That's the only for sure that's set up for that week, other than our game, obviously.
Yeah, Notre Dame is actually 3:30 on Peacock. What does NBC have going on that day? Or maybe it's just their Peacock day that they're just trying to push everybody to that. But that's weird. It does not say NBC/Peacock. It says Peacock for Louisville at Notre Dame, which is right now at least a ranked matchup. I wonder too, that's
got to be the NBC game, right? They got to be Peacock and NBC.
I would think,
Louisville, Notre Dame.
But it's 3:30, so it would fit into their night NBC game, which is technically what we've been told is their contract with the Big Ten. But what interests me about it is
they do get 3:30 if it's Notre Dame. They go head to head with CBS on Notre Dame.
Yeah. But what I was saying is with that agreement that they have with NBC, so then you push this game onto Peacock. It's like, wait, how many Big Ten games does the Big Ten have rights to every week? Because it kind of felt like CBS and NBC have their 3:30 for CBS, the primetime game for NBC. But now you've got these Peacock only games. Is there still an NBC game? And how long until CBS says, hey, we want more than one game and we'll just throw it on Paramount Plus? Why not? Fox has FS1 and they don't even have their own streaming service. So that's what they do. But NBC and CBS, now there is a CBS Sports Network, but I think they'd put it on Paramount Plus before they did that.
They would. And I think that's coming. And I think what else is coming is the fourth window. Remember, Big Ten still has not sold that. There's still one more chip to play. The fourth window on Saturday night, is still there to be played. You saw the numbers for, it was K-State and Arizona were right around 3 million for a game that was a blowout in two kind of outpost colleges. Mm-hmm. And that ended up around 3 million on Friday night on Big Fox. And guess what? That's what a lot of the highly rated television shows, network television shows, that's what they are now. They don't draw 20 million anymore. They're around that 3 number. So all of a sudden, can I play a college football game between two teams that are not Power 2 conferences and get around 3 million, or do I produce television shows?
And it's 3.5 hours long, whereas your television show is at most going to be an hour.
No, it's a whole night. I get a whole night for what it would cost me to do how many episodes of a scripted television.
The game got me to turn on Fox. I wouldn't have turned on Fox on Friday night otherwise. No. That's the truth, yeah.
No, I was looking out to that weekend in terms of like a big noon, because I'm curious about, oh my gosh, Georgia-Auburn's that weekend. That's 7:30 on ABC is Georgia-Auburn.
Oh, so nobody wants to go up against that. I wonder if what would be big noon? Illinois-Penn State, is that going to be big noon that week?
Probably what big noon.
If they can both spin. Well, Illinois got Nebraska.
You can't do Wisconsin-USC.
Will a Big 12
playing at noon?
Will a Big 12 team get big noon this year? That's the real question.
There's a Big 12 ranked versus ranked. Right now it's Oklahoma State, Kansas State. So can you see Urban going to Manhattan, Kansas? Those are the questions. That's where we're at. We'll ask Ari Wasserman about all this. Great friend of the program. He's coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
1, 2, 3. The Daily Coach Ryan Day Show is brought to you locally by Credit Union of Ohio and by Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
is a daily show with Coach Ryan Day, brought to you by Safe Flight Auto Class. This past week on the weekly radio show, we asked you about Ty Hamilton on the defensive line. If you would, just kind of talk again about how his growth has turned him into the player that he's become, Ryan.
Well, Ty is a guy who's put a lot of work into the program. He's developed every year more and more. He's put a lot of hard work into the weight room, and he's been a reliable guy for us that, believes in, what it means to be a Buckeye, believes in the room, believes in Coach Johnson, and the time that he's invested into our program is now paying off. And in a world where, people really enjoy instant gratification, this is someone that's put his time in and now seeing the results of all that hard work late in his career.
I have another comment in just a moment. Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safe Flight Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at SafeLight.com. Safe Flight Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you're planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
At Ohio State, we are the never afraid to innovate teams and the improve people's lives teams. Together, we are the Ohio State University.
This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
On the subject of defensive line, the guys that seem to have developed and come along, Caden McDonald, is he a guy that really last year, late in the years, at least to us lay people, that's where we first started to notice him?
Yeah, Caden showed up a bunch last year on the scout team and then worked his way into games. We put him at fullback, late in the season a little bit too. He played that in high school, and so has a lot of athletic ability. And so I know the challenge, in that D-line room for K-Mac has been consistency, consistently doing his job over and over and over again. He has the ability, and he's a guy that, we're counting on to provide us the depth that we need at that position. So his development will be very important here in the first half of the season.
This is the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
What do football and finances have in common? The team you play with makes a big difference. Credit Union of Ohio is your financial team to help you save and spend like a winner. Whether you're looking to make a big purchase or find ways to build up your savings, you'll always work with a team player at Credit Union of Ohio. Navigate your next big money play easily through Credit Union of Ohio's website at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
For more than 35 years, Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse has been known by Buckeye Nation as serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks have been a staple in Columbus with 3 locations, in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. Hyde Park is proud to introduce our newly added wine room at the downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining will surround you. And coupled with live entertainment every weekend, Hyde Park will be the perfect setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Ready to turn your media passion into a high-octane career? Ohio Media School will train you for TV, radio, social media, and digital media. Dive into hands-on learning with their cutting-edge Activator curriculum. Gain real-world experience through internships and live remotes. And get insider knowledge from industry pros. Small class sizes, real-world media studios, and 6 to 8 month programs. They accelerate your career with personal attention and essential skills. Visit Ohio Media School at beonair.com to book your free studio tour.
Direct Auto Insurance is for uncompromisers. The people who refuse to make trade-offs in life. Like Kelly, when her old car insurance got so expensive that she couldn't afford to drive anymore, do you think she started carrying her groceries for miles? No. but she did find Direct Auto's savings that allowed her to drive instead of compromise. With savings of up to 25%, you too can stop compromising and keep driving. Get a quote today at directauto.com. Savings based on applied discounts and will vary. Terms apply. How you buy can affect price. National General Group, Winston-Salem.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time to on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. A great friend of the program, the great Ari Wasserman, now with On 3. Buddy, when did you first come to Columbus? It's been 15 years, right? Was it like 09, 10, somewhere in there?
My first season was 2010.
10. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it'd been that long. And I've told the audience before that what I would love to do in those days is I quickly identified you as someone who saw things a little differently. I put Doug in that. There's some other guys, Bill, some other guys who you'd view, but they're looking at things through a different prism, and you certainly did that. And one of my favorite things you've done in your career was the podcast you did with Andy Staples, and it's back. And you guys are back together now with On 3. How did that come about, and how excited are you to get back with Andy?
Yeah, thanks for asking me. Andy is one of my closest friends in this industry, as are two other people that you mentioned on the show, Doug and Bill. And I think part of the reason why I view the sport through a different lens is because such an early portion of my career, Doug took me under his wing and helped me learn how to do the job. So I would be remiss if I didn't at least give Doug his flowers in this scenario. But it came about because Andy and I were doing a podcast that was pretty successful at The Athletic for a while, and Andy got an opportunity with On 3, and then the opportunity to get back together and kind of try to recreate our show at On 3 materialized, and the opportunity to go work with a close friend again was something I couldn't pass up. So super excited. We've been at it again for about 2.5 weeks now, and the show's off to a good start. We feel really good. We don't have to get familiar with each other, and it's a lot of fun, yeah. And we just got into a huge fighting match about an hour ago about whether or not Mark Stoops should have punted the ball at the end of the game against Georgia. So we're back in midseason form already, and excited to see what this unprecedented new system of college football brings. And I've got my gripes and my excitements, but certainly here for it.
My hope is you were on the correct side of that you do not punt in that scenario.
Yeah, I think if you think you punt in that scenario, that you have a loser mentality, and that's what I said. So, yeah.
I'm with.
He started bringing out this punt calculator where you're crunching the numbers. I'm like, dude, put that thing away, you nerd!
Punt calculator.
You're playing Georgia on your home field, and you're 15 yards from a game-winning attempt. You don't put the ball in the best team. Or one of the best programs in the country's hands and just wave the white flag. It's just not the way you go about it. And if I really wanted to tell you how I feel on the air right now, I'd probably get fired. So I just want you to know I'm personally offended and disgusted by the decision to punt there.
I agree with you. You and I view that the same way, which isn't that much of a surprise. In terms of 3 weeks in, who has checked a box for you that maybe looks better than you anticipated them looking early on this season?
Tennessee, without question. Tennessee is loaded this year, and I had them ranked in the preseason poll that I did, somewhere in the 15 to 20 range. I can't remember. I think it was 16, 17. And I'm coming around to the idea that it's really within possibility in this new system that they could win the national title this year. So I'm actually going to the Tennessee-Oklahoma game on Saturday, and I think we'll get more context on just how good they are. But they've got a very good defense. Heupel's a really, really good coach who they cultivated the offense that he discovered, this Baylor offense. They've got the right players. Nico's a star. Dylan Sampson's one of the best running backs in college football. The receivers are good. They have all the pieces in place from a roster perspective to not only beat Oklahoma this week, which they're, I think, a 7.5 or 8 point favorite in, but to compete with anybody in that conference, especially if we're not sure that Alabama is peak Alabama like they were when they were led by Nick Saban 3-4 years ago, and that Georgia is a team that has some inherent offensive flaws. They could be the best team there with Texas in the SEC this year.
I've been wildly impressed with Texas, and I know you certainly made your bones on the recruiting side of things as well, my friend. And I'm fascinated by what has happened at Texas with the injury to Quinn Ewers. What can you tell me? You make your life in Texas now. What can you tell me about how they've managed to keep the Arch stuff relatively quiet? And if you're Sark and what you know about him, how does he handle this if Arch plays a couple of starts and is lights out? How does he manage this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get to the Arch should start portion of the year. And I haven't even heard yet how severe the abdomen injury that Quinn has. I know that it's possible that could be a 2 or 3 week thing. I watched Arch play on Saturday night and was like dumbfounded by how flawless he looked. Like, I'm somebody who is just generally fascinated with his entire situation because of his last name and the way his recruitment went. And, the fact that in 2024, they have 2 quarterbacks right now that might be first rounders on the same roster, which is going to be harder and harder to do. Like, I think that the Arch situation in general is just a very unique scenario because you're not going to have somebody as good at football as him with the same temperament a lot. Like, the patience. Like, he came to Texas with the understanding that he was going to redshirt and was going to sit for a year or two. Like, you're not going to get a player of that caliber that's patient and understanding the way that development and all these things work the way that the Manning family did. And part of the reason, too, is that they're already really rich. So, like, the NIL aspect and the playing and getting paid and all that stuff, while important, and I'm assuming he's doing quite well, wasn't really driving the bus the way it would for somebody else who is itching to be a star and get paid faster. So I don't know how they manage that. I think that we're not talking about a guy who's just kind of good. Like, Quinn Ewers is a really good football player and somebody who also was ranked number 1 overall in his class. So it's not it could be a dumpster fire, though. Let's be honest. Like, if he is just throwing for 400 yards a game and playing the way that he looked against UTSA, which, again, when you play harder teams, it's harder to look that good. This could be kind of crazy to have a debate about, but you're not having a debate about somebody who's being ineffective. It's just 2 really, really good players. And the last thing I'll say is, you mentioned that I've made my bones in recruiting, but really, it's always just been so obvious to me that the best teams are the ones with the most good players on it.
Right.
And Texas has done a really, really good job in this portal era of recruiting in the same ilk in general scenario of Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama, while also accentuating its roster in the portal. So you look at a team that lost Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell and J.T. Sanders last year, and they have the second best receiving core in the entire country and an amazing offensive line and a really good defense. And it's like, this is another team that, people always joke, well, Texas is back. It's like being back was never about having one really good year, making the playoff one year. It was about creating a roster that could compete for a national championship every single year, regardless of roster turnover, the way that Ohio State, Georgia, and Bama do. And I think that we can effectively say that program is back.
There's no question. It's depth of talent now, especially talking 16 games. Like, you have to come in waves is the way that this is going to do. Finish this sentence for me. The biggest test on the Ohio State in terms of the biggest scheduled test for the Buckeyes is who right now? Is it still Oregon?
It has to be Oregon, right? I don't know. Yeah. Oregon is the team with the second best odds to win the conference. I know they got off to a slow start, and they played a one-possession game in the fourth quarter with Idaho and literally probably should have or almost did lose to Boise. So, I don't know. The context we're going to get about that Boise game might be that Boise's the best G5 team in America, and it was just an early season game where they're still trying to figure stuff out. But by the time Ohio State goes to – they're on the road in the middle of October, and they're playing at a place that is situated the way that it is. And I don't believe they play USC or anything. So,
nope.
I still think that Michigan, honestly, might be the answer to this question because Ohio State could go lose at Oregon, and in this new system, it doesn't matter at all, which really stinks, but it's true. And, I'm going to write a column. I've had this column in my head for about 10 months now. Not 10 months, sorry. When do they play? November, 8 months.
Yeah.
Just reminds me a lot of the 90s, man. And I don't know if it's just me or if I'm old or whatever, but Ohio State has a Michigan problem right now. And Michigan is not very good. Ohio State's got maybe the most talented roster they've had since I started on the beat in 2010. But, Michigan is still fielding a defense with 3 of the top 10 players in college football on it. And if they figure out how to run the ball, that kind of reminds me of like ultra-talented team that shouldn't lose at home gets in their head and overthinks it and is nervous, and then they put together a really good game, and all of a sudden it's a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. Like that, I think that is on the table. 55-10 is also on the table, but Ryan Day has to, like, it doesn't matter that Jim Harbaugh's not there anymore or whatever you want to say about Connor Stallions. All that stuff's in the past. Like, Ohio State has to win that football game this year.
Dude, it's the temperature around here. It's turned up to an 11. And every game that's in the back. You know how it is. I mean, it's just, you're right, though. It's like until he beats them, that's going to be part of it, certainly going forward. Great
like,
talking.
There's no scenario. There's no, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's literally no scenario where Ohio State doesn't make the playoff this year.
Correct.
Is like, that is like the worst. Like, I mean, it's great if you're an Ohio State fan in the sense that, like, you can lay an egg or have a bad week and the 2015 season can't happen again. But at the same time, too, like the goosebumps, the excitement, the stakes, everything that you got in last year's Michigan game, like, I don't know that we'll ever be able to match that again because we live in a world now where they could play 2 or 3 times in a season and losing has zero consequence for a program. And honestly, in some years, losing to Michigan in the last week of the season and not playing in the Big Ten championship game might put you in the 5 seed, which then is an easier path to the Final Four than being the 1 seed. So, like, it's just like it is such a different game now, and like the stakes of the Oregon game and the Michigan game don't quite hit the same. And I also don't know the answer to this question, and I'm rambling, but if Ryan Day loses to Michigan and then turns around and wins the national title, like, does that matter anymore? Like, are we at the point now where that rivalry game is, you're not going to want to fire somebody who won the national title. So, like, this almost happened 2 years ago. And, like, I don't know if having a Michigan problem is even hits the same way as it used to because there's so many more goals and games left after it. It used to be the end-all, be-all, and last year it was the end-all, be-all, and they didn't get it done. But, like, this year if they lose to Michigan, it would be embarrassing, and it would be like, obviously you don't want to lose to your rival. It matters a lot. I'm not saying that it's not a passionate, heated rivalry, but Ohio State could lose to Michigan this year, turn around and win the national championship, and then that loss isn't really a thing anymore in the grand scheme of things. So
I think you answered your own question there. It's if he loses to Michigan, he's got to win the national title. So that's it. The margin's gone if that happens. But it starts with beating them because around here that would be tough.
Okay,
hey, buddy.
I don't want people to clip this and be like, he doesn't understand trust me, I lived it for 15 years of my life. I understand it, but it's just a new sport. But I appreciate you having me on, Bo. Always a pleasure.
You are the best, buddy. Beautiful young family, and love to see all of your success. And back now with Andy at On 3. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Appreciate you. Anytime. Take care.
All right. That's Ari Wasserman with On 3 on the Bryan Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. 3 things coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
James Laurinaitis for Custom Air. Custom Air is devoted to quality, customer service, and trust. They are always there when you need them, and they deliver on what they promise. That's how they do things. It's the Custom Air way. Custom Air, custom solutions, custom comfort. CustomAirColumbus.com.
Bo Bishop here. High Bank Distillery Co. is the most awarded distillery in America at the 2024 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Stop by your local liquor store to grab a bottle or their 2 restaurant locations in Gahanna and Grandview. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Excuse me, waiter. There's a hair in my soup. A long purple hair.
I'm so sorry. I'll get the manager.
I'm the manager. How can I help?
Wait, weren't you the Plum Insurance mascot?
What gave it away? My long purple fur?
Something like that.
What if all insurance companies were like NJM and were known for putting their policyholders first, not gimmicks? Then all those insurance mascots would have to get real jobs.
I'll pass on dessert.
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM.
At Byers Auto, we've been football fans since 1897, back when tailgates had actual tails. Our legacy of supporting our local team is as strong as our commitment to providing exceptional vehicles. While we're known for our new cars, we also offer a variety of pre-owned vehicles that meet our rigorous standards. Our friendly staff is here to help you find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and budget. Visit us in person or shop online at buyersauto.com. Come see why it's better to buy at Byers.
The season may be winding down, but there's still time to make the most of Buckeye Lake. At Buckeye Lake Marina, we have year-end deals on boats, accessories, and more to get you ready for next year's adventures. Looking to upgrade? The Buckeye Lake Marina staff is there to help you find the perfect boat at unbeatable prices. Buckeye Lake Marina has a long list of satisfied customers and want you to be the next. Don't wait. Sail into savings at Buckeye Lake Marina before the year ends and find the boat that's just right for you. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com for more.
Common Man and T-Bone.
Hold your head up high, Mr. Ed, I guess. Trying to think of a better horse reference. I really didn't have one.
Hidalgo!
Hidalgo's good.
I'm going to ride him.
Common Man and T-Bone.
Sponsored by the Hinderer Motor Company.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on The Fan.
Order like a champ at Raising Cane's. With tailgates of hand-battered chicken fingers and cane sauce and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade, you can guarantee victory for every game day meal. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every single night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I get it. But there are alternatives to the CPAP machine, and Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and stops your snoring. What a concept. It's quick, comfortable, and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and he has a track record to prove it. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. And as the end of the year approaches, a lot of people have exceeded their medical deductibles, which means less out of pocket for you. Don't delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. Or you can visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or sleepbettercolumbus.com.
Open a Platinum Rewards Visa at Kemba Financial Credit Union and secure super low everyday rates so you can pay down debt faster. Apply now at Kemba.org to unlock 2% cash back on purchases for a limited time and pay 0% interest for a full year on balance transfers plus exclusive perks. Restrictions apply. Offer ends October 31st, 2024.
Hey, it's D. Miller. Guys, if you're only middle-aged but wondering why it seems harder to keep up, you're not alone. It could be low testosterone. Testosterone replacement therapy can help you get back to your best, but not just any TRT. See the provider specialists at Low T Center. They offer advanced, personalized treatments with over a decade of experience. At Low T Center, you'll start with a simple test and get your results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric, and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, Reese, what do we have on the poll?
The Daily Fan poll asks, will you purchase Peacock to see the Ohio State-Michigan State game next Saturday? 57% of respondents to the Daily Fan poll say they already have it. 33% say no, 10% say yes.
So that'll get us to 67% will have it.
Yeah.
Next time they ask this question next year when the Buckeyes are on Peacock, we'll see if it's 67%.
I get the consternation out there, but everybody's got it.
The real truth is that all of them, they're just gonna make you spend money no matter what. Like, they're gonna figure out a way to make you spend money. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I think what's gonna suck is when you do an audit of for me, I have so many, I don't even know what I'm paying for them anymore.
No, like, what is the total stream? I don't either.
I got hit with a Disney Plus Addy, so I'm guessing that's Disney Plus Hulu that showed up on my Amex last week. That was like $28, and I'm like, I think that's got to be like Disney Plus Hulu plus ESPN Plus. I don't even know what it is.
And it's weird because, like, as a monthly expense, none of them are quite high enough to just ditch one.
That's
so
getting
it's
close.
Like all or nothing, but that number's getting a little high. Like
28's pretty annoying, and I honestly, like, as soon as NBC stops watching Lost, I'm probably going to bail on Netflix because there's nothing I need, I don't think, there anymore as the time goes by, because that one's upwards in the 20s now too. That started out low and it's in the 20s. All right, three things on a Tuesday. Hit it, fellas.
1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Custom Air. Custom Air. Custom Solutions. Custom Comfort.
All right, number one for me. And I was a 12-year-old boy, so I'm aware of how stupid they are because I was one of these idiots. My oldest is now one of these idiots. So he had a sleepover on Saturday night, and he comes home, and he has like a bloodied scar underneath his chin. And I said, what did you do? What is this? And he goes, we were having sock fights. And I said, what's a sock fight? So these idiots soak a sock wet and then fight each other with their socks. Like, this is what 12... My wife goes, what? She's losing her mind. I'm like, we do stupid things. It's what boys do at this age. We do stupid things that sometimes harm us. This is what we do.
We used to play bloody knuckles with quarters. Like,
yep.
It's only going to get worse. This is actually a pretty light one. One time we broke a ceiling fan having a pillow fight when we were like 8th graders. That was because we were too big to be having a pillow fight.
Right.
Speaking of childhood fun, I found my old Lego box at my parents' house because I've been doing my Legos, and I was like, I have a ton of just leftover pieces from when I was a kid. So I found it, and then I was just kind of putting them together, making random stuff. But as I'm looking through the box, I'm like, oh, other random things kind of ended up in there because they were just thrown into a box at one point. So there's like a little Buzz Lightyear, there's a little Woody, there was a little Knight, there were pieces from other toys, there were a couple of batteries for some reason. Who knows how old those are? But the weirdest one was tufts of hair from either a cat or a dog that have not been around for over 10 years. And I can tell because it's lighter hair. It's not dark hair. My parents have a black lab now. They had a black cat after this second cat. So it's this like, kind of lighter yellow lab or yellow cat type hair. And I was showing it to Jalen. I was like, you never even met this dog. And here it is. No, it's just such a weird, it's like a time capsule in there.
Andy Staples, we had his podcast partner, Ari Wasserman, on last segment. You can hear that interview at 971BFS, wherever you do your podcasting, or on YouTube. But Andy Staples from On3 reported Tennessee is going to be adding a 10% talent fee to all football tickets starting next season. Fee's going to go to the players and to help out with their revenue sharing. University says the per seat increase is about 4.5%.
As we've said for years, it was never going to be giving back the money. It was always going to be, how can we make more? And when you have to make more money, who does the brunt of that fall on? You, the fan. It falls at your feet. And that's the reality of all of this stuff, is they're going to find new ways to make money that's going to impact you. They're not going to start making less money at the University of Tennessee. They're not doing that. Number 3 for me, and I'll go quickly on this. I know we're starting to get up against it. So we were talking about television shows and all of that. This is the terrifying reality of a younger generation. I don't think they're going to watch any of that stuff, because what they gravitate to at every opportunity is TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube Shorts. That's what they watch. They don't watch television shows in the traditional sense. They watch these things. It's terrifying, but it's the reality.
Soon our radio show will be a minute long. We'll do it 10 times a day instead.
Yeah.
Last one for me. I got a new weed whacker. My other one just broke. The thing that held in the string broke. So, okay, I had to get a new one, needed it around. And now it hasn't rained for 2 months. So I finally get it, and I get it together yesterday, and then I used it on some places, but I was like, I don't have any weeds to whack. Not even the weeds are growing at this point. So please rain just a little bit.
Yeah, it needs it.
Rothman and Ice are coming up next from 12 to 3. Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, and Will Howard are going to speak starting at noon. We're going to carry Coach Day's comments live as soon as he hits the podium. See if they beat Improvement Week. It's on to Marshall Saturday at noon.
Indeed it is, and it is coming up next. We are back tomorrow, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We are your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is a Fan Action Update.
Checking up on your World Series odds. The Dodgers are the favorite at 3-1. The Phillies plus 450. Yankees coming in at 5-1. Astros 8-1. Orioles 9-1. The Cleveland Guardians have the 6th best odds to win the World Series at 12-1. Cleveland is plus 450 to win the AL. Guardians holding on to a 5-game lead over the Royals in the AL Central. For your Action Update, I'm Scotty Vegas.
Favorites are back in season this week at Meijer. Find locally grown and freshly picked apples in the produce department. Plus, get fresh from Meijer family pack boneless chicken thighs for $2.99 per pound. And Meijer potato or tortilla chips 3 for $6 when you buy 3 or more. And you'll always get the same low price no matter how you shop, in-store or online. Find everything you need in just one stop when you shop at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Hey there, football fans. It's Austin Ward. People are noticing the difference with me on the sidelines this year. A little quicker on my feet and 55 pounds lighter thanks to Awaken 180. Getting some comments, even starting a press conference, getting asked how many pounds I've lost. Let's not forget that famous question, you actually kept off the weight? Yes, sir, I have, and it's been almost a year since I dropped my 55 pounds, which took just over 2 months. If I had gone the medication route, it would have taken 4 times that, and I would still be on the meds. I ate to lose weight with Awaken 180's at-home program, and to this day, I still thank Chops for introducing me to the solution for weight loss. Guys, girls, the program is simple. It's fast and can literally work for anyone. Have questions? Ask me, ask Chops, ask Scotty Vegas, or any of the other 23,000 Awaken 180 clients who took control of their weight. Already game? If so, speak to Awaken 180 directly by calling 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are you ready to build your company's dream team? Just like in sports, finding skilled players is essential for success. With Robert Half's winning combination of specialized recruiting professionals and award-winning AI, we'll help you find the MVPs and key role players who will have you hanging banners in the rafters. Because in business, it's all about having the experienced team on your side. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.